Hey everybody, welcome to the stream. Thank you very much, Wicked, for letting me know I was muted. I mute it before I start the stream so you don't catch my dog barking and all that bullshit. He was being very vocal today. I was watching a cop video and it's like a little beep they have for their camera when it activates their body cams. Or maybe it's their volume, whatever, their audio, but every time it beeps, he thinks it's his collar going off because we have an invisible fence around the property. So he thinks it's his collar going off and he freaks out like, I'm getting too close to the edge of the property. It's actually kind of funny. But, yeah, so I had my mic muted to start. And I appreciate you letting me know about that, Wicked. So anyway, yeah, thanks, Wicked, so much for the, thanks so much for the subscription. I really appreciate it. It does help the channel out. The channel is growing by leaps and bounds. I don't know, what else to say about that. It's an amazing, amazing thing to see. I mean, right now our goals, we are at 600 followers, guys, 600. And our next goal is 609. Why 609? I don't know. It just came up 609 once we completed 600. I think what it did is it completed 600 and then somebody unfollowed and it went to 599 and it always adds 10. So then it was like, oh, add 10 to 599. It's 609. So I don't know, but that's going to be our next goal is 609. Our subscription goal is way out there. I don't know why. It keeps doubling down on me every time it reaches its goal. I don't get it, but hey, it is what it is. If we reach 65, that would be fantastic. Bob! Here it comes. I love that song. I love that song. So yeah, today what we're going to do, we're not going to actually play. Hello there. We're not actually going to play Broken Arrow. Not in a versus game or a skirmish or anything like that. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the game and how awesome it is. I want to get more people involved in this. I streamed with somebody yesterday called Shoopaloop 2. Shoopaloop 2 is another great streamer. He's just getting started on his platform. He's got like 500 followers. I'm going to do a shout out for him really quick here. I should have a button set up for him, but I don't. But I'm going to have to. Shoopaloop 2. Why 2? Because it's better than 1. And I did that wrong. I forgot my space. Shout out. And I'm not in there. Shout out. Shoop a loop 2. There we go. Well, that's good, Wicked. I mean, it's trust me, it's one of those things that if you enjoy watching it, you should enjoy playing it. So today I'm just going to be talking about the game, what you can do, how the game is played. So if you do want to get involved in this game, it is a 5-person versus 5-person multiplayer, or it's 5-person versus 5 AI. So, we played them once. Well, that's all right. I mean, Wicked, anytime you get in and you decide you want to play, you're on the Discord, you know where I'm at, you know how to get a hold of me. I love the co-op play. But this one, like I said, is a 5-person co-op, which is great. You have to like real-time strategy, though, because when you play, there's 4 ways to play. There's the campaign, which is a solo campaign. There's scenarios that when you play a scenario, you can create your own scenarios. Like I created one called the Siege of Bastogne.
Acknowledge me!
And there's Kazuri! Like I did the Siege of Bastogne, okay? In today's world. Siege of Bastogne today. Siege of Bastogne was in World War II, where the 101st Airborne got dropped into an area, and they got surrounded immediately by the Germans. And it wasn't just the Germans, it was a German Tiger tank, SS Panzer Division. So, Judge!
Who you talking to? I happen to be Buford T. Justice, a distinguished officer of over 30 years seniority. One of the most highly respected law enforcement agents in the United States of America.
I love that guy. If you guys don't know where that's from Smokey and the Bandit. And if you've never seen Smokey and Bandit, get the fuck out of here. That is probably one of the best shows I've ever watched. I mean, I was a huge, huge fan of both Jerry Reed and Burt Reynolds. Well, of course, Sally Fields. Wasn't it Sally Fields? She was the girl, right? I didn't care much about the girl. Burt Reynolds drove a black Trans Am. A black Trans Am was my go-to love car when I was young. I had a 74 Firebird. It was banana yellow with a tan top. It had a 6-cylinder 250 in it. It was just... my parents said, the first car you own, son, cannot be a V8. It's got to be... we don't want you to have a really powerful car. Because they knew I wanted a Trans Am. Right? I mean, those things were just kick-ass. So I got a 74 Firebird. It was banana yellow, like I said. Had a tan top on it. Had a 6-cylinder 250 in it. And I'd pull up to the corner where some girls are at, and I'd go, vroom, vroom. Not, run, run, not like that. No, I went vroom, vroom. So I put in an Alpine stereo system with my house speakers strapped in. Now, I'm not bullshitting here. With my house speakers from my bedroom strapped in the back seat of the car with seat belts. And I blasted AC/DC everywhere I went. Everybody would say, I can hear you coming before I see you. Because I'm playing Back in Black and Hell's Bells. Yeah, they just didn't. The technology just wasn't there, Judge, to have a really decent stereo system. And Alpine was top number one. Alpine came out before Blaupunk. Once Blaupunk came out, it kind of overtook Alpine, but Alpine is still to this day. It's a good stereo. Yep. Right? I remember, as far back as I can remember, I remember 55 cents a gallon. Double nickel for gas. So, now, see, and here's the thing. I lived in Montana, too, okay? I lived in Montana all my life. And a truck, you'd think, would be the proper choice for a Montana boy, right? But I wasn't a farm boy. I was more of a city boy in the farm. So that's why I went with the Firebird. That's why I went, and what's funny is I bought the Firebird from my grandmother. Yeah, from my grandmother. So, no, I didn't. I had access to trucks. I think my favorite four-wheel drive vehicle was a Jeep Wagoneer. I loved my Wagoneer. Now, it wasn't mine. It was my parents', but, man, I loved that Jeep Wagoneer. You could go anywhere in that thing. And plus, it had a back seat you could lay out and lay flat. So you could sleep in it if you wanted to spend the night up somewhere with certain people. In the mountains. Yeah. We'd always go down to the lake and watch the submarine races. Yeah, that was our number one thing. So, yeah, there's that. Submarine races. Gotta love them. Yeah, those take me back to a few days. But yeah, so, I was the eldest of two brothers, of two boys. Me and my brother, my younger brother, he's 4 years younger, almost 4 years younger, 3.5. And his first car was a Chevy Z28 Camaro with a 307 V8 in it. Now, I broke the mold apparently because I got it to 6-cylinder 250, and my parents were like, "Oh, well, I guess it's not that bad." So he gets the V8 for his first car, which I was denied, and he gets the eluding police, failure to stop, reckless driving, careless driving, drunk driving. I mean, I drunk drove too, but I was in a 6-cylinder 250 that went vroom vroom. The cops didn't look at me, and it was banana yellow. Who the hell is going to speed in a banana yellow car? I'm telling you, it's all about perception. Because when I went into the service, when I went in the Navy, I left my car with my current girlfriend, and she was like a tomboy. She loved working on cars. So she was I'm going to send her money, and she's going to doll up my 74 Firebird. She's going to make it the prettiest, meanest, baddest bitch in town, right? She put a Corvette 327 engine in it, 4-bolt main. It came out of a Jeep that they used for mud bog racing. So it was built. It was built well. So she put that in the car, and then she painted the car red and black. Okay. So it was red. Let me think about this. Was it red on the bottom or black on the bottom? It was black on the bottom and red on the top. Okay. So, and then she had a heartbeat that went through the red and the black paint. And where it dipped down into the black, it was red. And where it dipped up into the red, it was black. It was cool as shit. She put a T-top in it for me. And she had 2 custom T-top windows made. One unicorn and one dragon. And they were etched in the glass. And she put those on for the T-tops, right? The interior was a red and black diamond tucked velvet interior. Yes, it was the 70s. Well, it wasn't. It was the 80s and 90s. But, we were stuck in the 70s. The disco music and all that. The Bee Gees, Staying Alive, all that. But, my favorite was AC/DC. That's why I went red and black, because that was kind of the what they call today. What do they call it today? Gothic. That was the Gothic back then. It was just heavy metal, right? And she had stored this in a storage unit when she would be working on it. So she had it almost ready, almost done. The only thing she was working on was the interior. And apparently a train had come disconnected and rolled back down the tracks and crashed into the storage unit where my car was at. Now, it was a row of storage units, but the train just demolished it, right? And then it blew up. There was explosive stuff on board and flammable, whatever, and it blew up. Caused a bunch of damage in town. But, right next to where my car was stored. Blew out all the windows. The insurance totaled the car. Yeah. Right? And this is the whole time I'm in the service. So why I'm in the service, I need a vehicle, because at first I was stationed on the East Coast, went to boot camp in Great Lakes, Illinois, went to A school in Great Lakes, and then I went to nuclear power school in Orlando, Florida, and then I went to Norfolk, Virginia, where I was stationed. And of course I did my prototype up in Groton, Connecticut, but that's just a short period of time. So I didn't need a vehicle. The military was providing me all that stuff. But when we transferred around to the state of Washington, to Seattle, I needed a car because I was like, I want to drive back and forth to Montana now and visit my girlfriend and so on and so forth. But the car had been totaled and she was, stopped sending her money. Why it's what can I do? What can I do? The car is totaled. So I bought a Z28 Camaro. It was a green, lime green Z28 Camaro. And the first thing I did is I put air shocks in the back of the Camaro. And so I could jack up the ass end, and I put wider tires on the back. So it looked mean as shit. Now the tires stuck out from the fenders. So every time I hit a bump going down the road, my fenders would go into my tires and scratch them. I mean, every time. 60 miles an hour and you hit a bump and it's like, brick. And it took some more rubber off my tires. So anyway, I had to stiffen them up big time so that wouldn't happen. But it was jacked up in the ass end, so it was at an angle, right? The back end was higher than the front end. Now, I am a decent driver. I don't speed. I don't break the laws. I don't believe. If it's 60, I might do 65. That's about it. I don't believe that going above the speed limit, going 80 miles an hour in a 60-mile-an-hour zone is worth it. I just don't see it worth the risk. So risk versus reward thing. I still get there. And when you do the math on it, like if you were to travel 30 miles and you do 10 miles an hour over the speed limit for that 10 miles, how much faster did you get there? Not that much faster. Now, over a longer distance of time, longer distance travel, yeah, you can make up, half hour. You can get there half hour faster. So what are you going to do in that half hour, that extra half hour? Now, you put your life on the line to go 20 miles an hour faster to get there 20 minutes earlier for what? You put your life at risk for 20 minutes? What did you do in that 20 minutes before I showed up? Went into the store, went to the bathroom, got a soda, came back out, got in your car, filled up your car, whatever. And then I pull up and I'm going to do the same thing. So I could not see the reward of speeding. So I obeyed the traffic laws. I try to anyway. For the most part, sometimes you break the law, but you're not intentionally, you're not knowing that you broke the law, type thing. So, that car, that Z28 Camaro, got me into more tickets because of the way it looked. I wasn't speeding, and this cop pulled me over because he said it looked like I was going too fast. Looked like it. Now, he didn't give me a ticket because he didn't have it on radar. He didn't pace me or anything like that. It just looked like I was going faster. But it was the car. It was the car itself. It looked mean and badass. It was lime green with black trim, right? And it had the emblem that a Z28 has on the hood. It's like an air scoop, but it's not real. But it looks just badass, right? And of course, then I had the wider tires in the back and jacked up. So it looked really mean. It looked really nasty. I mean, it was... it was still lime green, but that didn't matter because the car looked amazing. That's why I got pulled over a lot, because of the looks of the car. Banana yellow, nobody looks at you. Fire engine red, absolutely. Lime green, yep, especially jacked up and looking mean, yeah. So it's all about perception when it comes to that stuff. So speaking of perception, this is not about perception. This is an M1 Abrams. We're going to go to the arsenal here. This is an M1 Abrams tank. Where is it? The M1. Yep. The M1A1 Abrams. Awesome tank. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about the game and how it's played. And then we're going to talk about the editor here. Like I said, I built this game. This is my first attempt at building my own scenario. And it's the siege at Bastogne during World War II. Airborne troops, airborne infantry are surrounded in Bastogne by a panzer division. So when we look at this today, I will show you how I came about this and the World War II map I found that said this is how many regiments, this is how many squads, whatever, were on the battlefield. So, and I have uploaded this to Steam So if anybody gets this game and they want to try it out, please try it out and let me know. I've already had one person do it, and he gave me feedback on it. He said there were too many tanks on the... Now, see, this isn't German now, it's Russian. So it's U.S. versus Russian, right? So I want to come up with another scenario called Civil War, where it's two American units battling it out. But when you create your own scenario, you can pick the map that you get to use. And there's quite a few maps. So you can go from like, where is it? This is like a forest and city map. This one's a winter map. Oil Rush, that's a pretty good one. That's all mountains. That's the one. Oil Rush, Bob, is the one that you and I did when the game first came out. When they had the demo for it. Bob and I tried this one. One of the other ones is the Black Coast, and then Beltusk Peninsula. Both of these have a lot of water in them, which is kind of cool to do. So you could do kind of a marine situation there. I was thinking of doing this Beltusk and then having like a civil war in Florida. You know, Democrats versus Republicans kind of thing. I'm kidding. I don't really give a shit about politics. But anyway, U.S. versus U.S. So you can create and do whatever you want with it. This is my testing unit. This is where I go in, and I have a map here. I don't remember which map I used. I don't know that it says. Oh, yeah, the Riga Airport. So I use the map of the Riga Airport, and what I do is I'm at the airport and I test out my units. So I test out how, for instance, my anti-aircraft weapon will do against helicopters or against airplanes. Okay. Or then I'll test out my tanks versus infantry and see, how it'll do. And then of course you can do it, with Russian units, right? So you can see how they do against Russian units. Because typically that's what you see is America versus Russia in most of these scenarios. So when you're looking at these multiplayers, a lot of these are all the lobbies, but a standard lobby. He's got 2 of 5 people. There's 10. Here's 8 of 10. Here's a huge lobby. They're playing a skirmish. Here's 9 of 10 right here, and of course you can set that so you can make it, well, why isn't it doing that? Why isn't it sorting it that way? Huh. Oh, yeah, because it's 9 of 10 or 4 of 5 or 1 of 2. Those are still the top, top lobbies. Anyway, and then you can sort by game mode and whether it has a password or not. So, but that's for multiplayer. That's if you're into that. You don't have to play this game multiplayer. The skirmish battles are all against AI. I'll show that to you. You can set it up however you want. You could go U.S. versus U.S., Russia versus Russia, a mixed force versus whatever. Okay, you can choose your map. So let's say we do the Highway of Death. And then this is against the AI. Now you can shut these off. So you don't have to have all the AI. You can just have one. You can have your friends join you in this lobby. And you can have up to 5 people versus 1. And then you get to pick what type of force that you're going to go up against. So you could go, against an armored brigade or a striker cavalry, and then you can set your battle group, whatever one that you have, or just do the default U.S. deck. You can make your own decks, okay? And that's the other thing I want to talk about today is making your own deck and personalizing the amount of... Oh, I need to leave the lobby. Hold on. Back to lobby. Leave lobby. I created a lobby in order to do that skirmish. But arsenal, that's what I wanted. So this is the army builder, and this is where you make your own deck. Okay, so you make your own units. You have 10,000 points to spend per battle group. Okay, and you, depending on what kind of units you pick, that's what I wanted to do. I keep forgetting to do that, to favorite that. Depending on what kind of battle group you want, let's say we're going to do US, you have 2 specializations that you can choose from. You have Marines, you have Armored Brigade, you have Airborne, you have Air Cav, and you have Special Forces. Okay? So you can choose 2 of these. You can't choose 2 of the same ones, like do a double Marine. It doesn't work that way. You have to mix between these 2, but a lot of different combinations. Now, each combination gives you a number of units. Okay? You all start off the same way. This is your basic starting point. If you haven't chose anything yet, you got no helicopters, no aircraft. So depending on the branch you take, then it limits you on size of each type of unit. Okay, so in the Marines you get 500 points in reconnaissance, 1,000 in infantry, 1,000 in vehicles, and 1,000 in aircraft. Okay, you get 750 in support, 750 in helicopter. Marines are pretty well rounded. I mean, that's all within 250 of each other. Well, 500 for the recon. So that's a pretty good base starting unit. Okay, now we're going to pick Armored Brigade. No helicopters, no aircraft in Armored Brigade. So if you wanted to play Armored Brigade, and then like Air Cav, you're not going to have any helicopters at all. So when I mouse over this, you'll see you get 1,000 points in aircraft because of Air Cav. You get another 1,500 in support. You get 750 in vehicles. You get 1,000 in infantry, and you get 750 in reconnaissance. That's pretty good. Okay. But then if you wanted to go like airborne, now you get helicopters with armored. Okay. And you get more aircraft, right? Because it had 1,000 aircraft to begin with. And now it's going to give you 1,500. No. Right? Yeah. So that's what you get. You get no aircraft, no, yeah. So if you go with this, you get 1,500 aircraft and 1,000 helicopters if you picked airborne. If you go recon, you get 1,250 aircraft and 1,250 helicopters. Now, what cool thing is with recon or with special forces, they got no vehicles and no support. It's all reconnaissance, infantry, helicopters, and aircraft. And you're like, well, why would you want to do that, right? I mean, but the aircraft and the helicopters they have the stealth helicopters. I mean, they are sneaky helicopters, right? And they have the stealth aircraft like the B-1 bombers and the F-1 115 or 112. I don't remember which one it is. And then you add your airborne on top of it, and holy crap, an airborne recon unit or airborne special forces? Holy shit. So you get to choose between 2 of these to make your deck. So we're going to just do that. We're going to do, I mean, because we get a little bit of everything. Not a lot of vehicles. Not a lot of vehicles with special forces. If you wanted vehicles, then you could get rid of the airborne and go that way. And then you got tanks, you got infantry, you got reconnaissance, you got support. You got a little bit of helicopters and you got a little bit of aircraft because aircraft are expensive. Okay, but we're going to go airborne special forces. Okay, it gives us a little bit of everything except vehicles, not a lot of vehicles. So then what you do is you call it, you know, whatever you want to call it, you know, caps SOG. There we go. And I like to get more descriptive, so we're going to go Air SOG. Air Special Operations Group. All right. Now, this is the meat and the bones of what you're going to do with this game. This is creating your own special deck that you are going to use, and that it's going to be keyed to your game style. Okay. So that's why I have a test map, because when I first started, I didn't know what units did what damage and how they worked and so on and so forth. So my first suggestion is to go play with all the units. Set up go to your editor, set up a scenario. If you look at my test, let's go ahead and load this. If you look at my test, it is you get to place the opponents. You get to put where your stuff is, and then you can play it and test it out. So what I did here, let me just load it up really quick. All right. So what I have here is I have the Riga airport, and I have a whole bunch of T-90s in the middle here. There's a whole bunch of, okay. And I have all these planes on the runway. Now, all these planes are landed planes. They're not actually in the air. If I wanted this unit in the air, now this is a landed one. That's landed. That's landed. Okay. I don't think I have any units. I think these are all landed. Yeah, they're all landed. So they're all on the ground. Okay. If I wanted to place an air unit in the air, I just come over here to new unit, go to the Russians, and go to aircraft, and then I pick what aircraft I want. So like this one here, I place it. Okay, it's going to place blue because that's the default, but I can change that. So you click on the unit, and then you can come over here and change who the player is. We're going to change it to Bravo Player 1. So you can have 5 blue players, 5 red players, and 5 neutral players, and 5 spectator players. Okay. So you can set up all sorts of scenarios with that, because this is how you program the AI. Okay. So with this particular unit, it's at ground level right now. So let's just move it up to 200 feet. Okay. So now it's in the air at 200 feet. Okay. I mean, that's how simple the editor is. I just added an SU-30, which has looks like it's got some sort of machine gun and some sort of gun on it, and it's got some rockets. 6, they're probably like guided bombs with a 4,000 meter range, and it's got a couple of short range missiles on it to 2,000. Those are medium range. Now you see the symbol next to the S or the R-73. There's a symbol. There's 2 symbols there. One's a helicopter. It's hard to see. And the other one's an airplane. So those missiles take out helicopters and airplanes. Okay. Now I'll show you more about getting into in depth on what each of these weapons do. But I just wanted to show you the map. So this is what I did. I used this to test. And you just simply go click on it and then hit delete. And you can get rid of that unit. Okay. I have a striker here who is a observation platform. He's hidden right now in the trees, but he's able to see the whole runway. So when I play this, I see all these vehicles when I first come in. Now, all the tanks, you can see the little red circle with the air line through it. All these mean that they are set to do not attack. Okay, so you can set it to hold fire. So that way they don't see my striker and just start shooting the shit out of my striker. I did this because this was my nuke. My at the end of my streams, you see I did a new nuclear detonation sequence. That was this right here. I set all this up. I dropped a nuke right in the middle of this, and the plane comes in from the right and goes over and drops its nuke, and then it circles around and heads out, and it drops this huge nuclear bomb. Now that's at the end of my stream. That's my exit stream. That's my video for that. So I set this up to do that, to film that and create it. But you can set this up for, like, if you wanted to see what infantry did, what certain type of infantry, like U.S. Marine infantry, here's your Marines. Like the difference between your Marines and your Marine Raiders. What difference can those make? Those two types of infantry, what can they do different? Because this one's 13 player. This one's got 13 people in it. This one's got 14 people in it. So a squad of 13 and 14. So what can... And of course, in the demo, when you go down here to look, it's just symbolized by one guy. That's just to cut down, there's 13 guys here. I guarantee it, but it symbolizes just the unit, okay? But then as you're creating your own scenario, you can put them, I could put Marine Raiders in this tree line here. I could put them inside this building, I can do all this stuff with the editor, which is really cool. So if you're into making scenarios and seeing how they play out, seeing how well balanced they are, then you can do this. But this is what I did to see what my units would do against certain other units, just to see how it worked. And then also how things worked. Like, for instance, if I went to my support and I got out a mortar. This is a 81 millimeter mortar. It's got 1,800 meter range. What does 1,800 meters look like? And I put this out here, and I want to nuke. I want to set off some charges, some artillery down here to take out this plane. How close do I need to get before I can do that? Because that was only 1,800 meters. Here's a LAV-AD, which is a air defense platform, which has got a GAU-12 25 millimeter autocannon. I mean, that's amazing. 1,300 meter range, and it's got a Stingers on it, 2,000 meter range. So is this good air defense? Okay, because it's only got 900 rounds on it, but 16 Stingers. So is that a good air defense for the Marines? Okay. And then you don't have to use the Marines. You could use, your armored division. You can use your airborne. What kind of air defenses does that have? Oops. You got to unselect the one just to see just those. So, like, where's the air defense? Okay, we got an Avenger that has Stingers on them and a 50 caliber Browning machine gun. Okay, that's it for air defense for these guys. Air defense here. Let's see, what do we got? That is a mortar. That is a mortar. Yeah, it's a big mortar, the Paladins. Air defense. We've got, those are multi-launchers, missile launchers. I guess this is it. The linebacker has a set of Stingers, it's got 12 Stingers on it. But then it has a Bushmaster turret on it, right? And of course, I can select this one, put it out here, and then I can go to it, and then I come down here to mods. So this is telling you what the weapons package is, and I can select mods, and I can select the other mods that are available to this unit. So for instance, I could switch the stock engine to the upgraded engine. I could give it a better armor package. I could give it Hellfires instead of Stingers. Make it a Shorad instead of a linebacker. I like the linebacker because it signifies that you've got the ability to take care of ground forces and air defense. So, sorry, my wife was texting me. So you can change it. You can change the way if you have a specific type of vehicle that you want. So instead of the 81 millimeter mortar, you go to the Dragonfire 120 millimeter mortar on the same platform. And now this one becomes, 120 millimeters to 81. So you can make those changes on this, in the editor. You can this is where like I said, I used to play around with my units. How does cover affect me? How does being in a building affect my unit? If I put this paladin in here, does it have more cover, or should it be like behind a building? Should I move it like behind a building and put it there instead? So this is a way to play around with it without actually, being in a match, playing with other people, trying to figure your shit out. That's why I highly recommend this. All right, so let's just quit this. No, I don't want to save it. Shoop! How are you, my friend? Thanks for jumping in the stream. I don't know why I didn't hear you come in because all you did was play icons. Yeah, for me to recognize you said anything, you got to come in. You got to come in and you got to say something. So, Shoop and I played yesterday. I'm just going over all these features, Shoop. We're talking about the editor and the armory. So the armory is a place where you can come and look at each one of these units. Tired? Yeah, I know this game's addictive, man. It is totally addictive. So you can feature this down. So right now I picked the U.S. and it shows these are the Marine Corps vehicles. These are the Armored Brigade vehicles. These are the airborne infantry vehicles. These are the strikers. And these are the special operations vehicles. They have one called the War Pig. This fucking thing, I tell you, this is an amazing piece of hardware. Right now, it just has a M240 machine gun on it, but you could put on a Fletcher guided rockets, TOW-2 bunker busters. I actually did this. I put on a bunch of bunker busters, and then this is a vehicle platform. It's still got the M240 on the front right there. You can see it right there. And then it's got this. So I use this in coordination because these are basically anti-tank missiles. Now, these are side-hitting TOWs. There's two types of TOWs. There's one that shows it just hits the vehicle straight on, direct fire. And then there's a TOW-2B, which is more like the Striker. Yeah. So the Striker has a TOW-A, which is a direct fire. So it just shoots the vehicle. Or you go to the 2B, and the 2B is a top-down. So what it does is it shoots the missile, and the missile goes up in the air, flies, and then comes down on top of the tank where the armor, when you look at an armor, here's your armor values right here. Okay, so here's an M1A2. Okay, it has 1,400 frontal armor. If it's upgraded, okay, you can upgrade, with the protection systems. Okay. Of course you did. And that's what we're talking about today is building battle groups and testing them out. So I test them out in the editor, my battle groups, or I set up scenarios like if I'm approaching infantry, what best vehicle is against infantry, or if I'm approaching, a SAM site, how do I take it out with what vehicles? So that way when I see them in the field and I'm playing under pressure, I know what to take up against it instead of saying, oh, let's send these recon infantry snipers in against an M1 Abrams. No, not a wise idea. Not a wise idea. So, but anyway, you can see it's got 1,400 frontal armor, 250 on the side, 100 on the rear, but on the top it's only 60. So that's why the TOW-2s are so important, because that'll one-shot a tank right there. Pretty much. I mean, the tank also has hit points, has 17 hit points, this tank right here. Yeah, it has 17 hit points. That's the health. This is its viewing distance. Right here is its stealth. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. So we're just talking about vehicles here just for a second. And actually, I was just showing you the different vehicles. But see, if you had... Okay, so you got 17 points of damage is what this can take. Okay, after you get through the armor. So you'd have to destroy this tank, you'd have to have 77 points of damage. 60 for the top armor and 17 for the health of the vehicle. Okay, so you'd have to have 77. So if you have an infantry unit that has a javelin weapons squad, okay, here's the javelin right here. Okay, it does armor penetration. It is a top-down type vehicle, and here's the damage, 10.5. So it's not going to one-shot it. Okay.
From now on, you will speak only
when spoken to,
and the first and last words out of your filthy sewers will be sir. Do you maggots understand that? Sir! Yes, sir!
I love that video. Of course, who doesn't like Jennifer Aniston? Oh my God. Jennifer Aniston crawling to you in her bra and panties. Yeah. Who doesn't like that picture? Thank you so much for the subscribe, Shoop. I appreciate it, my friend. You know as well as I do. It helps out the channel. So guys, I gave a shout out to Shoop before, but here's the guy himself. Go visit his channel. Click on his name right there in chat, and there is a follow button. Hit that follow button for him. He's a great streamer. He played with me yesterday. I found him in Foxhole. He was one of my Foxhole followers. And great guy, great streamer. I had a lot of fun with him yesterday. We kicked butt the first 2 missions, and in the 3rd mission we got our ass handed to us. Just handed to us. But to be fair, I was still tweaking my deck, and he was kind of playing with his deck too. So, yep, there we go. Do another shout out for Shoop. Absolutely. I don't think you have permission there. I don't think you have permission to do that. Only my moderators can do a shout out. But there we go. There's a shout out for Shoop. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. There he is. I don't know how I got a clip of him in his ending his stream.
He just went offline. I'm sad. I'm sad. I'm a sad sheepy now. Penny. Somebody clip this right now and send it to Penny. That was so...
That's why. Somebody clipped it for him and sent it to somebody else for him. So, yeah. My clip player plays all clips that he has on his channel. Well, not all of them. Some people don't have clips on their channels, which is sad. Because we like to see funny moments, and we like to see sad moments, and happy moments, and all kinds of moments. Drama. We love drama. Humans love drama. Yes, I know I do. I go through my Twitch channel a lot more than you think. I see, the people that are making clips for me. Judge like to make clips of me failing miserably, instead of, when I get really excited when I win. He likes it when I fail miserably and get pissed off, but that's all right. Right? You got to keep it real. I mean, let's put it this way. I watched a guy stream, and this just annoys the shit out of me. I watch people stream that are very happy and they have a good outlook on life, and they lift me up. When you got somebody that's happy and is excited about something and is talking in a very positive manner, it lifts you up and you become positive. But there are more people watching the pissed off guy who throws his controller at his monitor, breaks his monitor, smashes his keyboard up. I don't get it. he has thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people watching him beat shit up at his own house instead of watching the positive guy. It's kind of like watching NASCAR or Formula One racing. You don't watch NASCAR to see a car go around in circles for 4 hours. You're hoping to see a wreck. You're hoping to see a crash live streamed. Oh, this is an awesome game, Wicked. I really wasn't going to do some action because this one was kind of fun. I found this one on the Steam library. You got one group trying to get to one side of the map to the other side of the map. Yeah, not fun. No. Yeah, I actually, Shoop and I played yesterday, and I've played a couple of missions before. We actually played the campaign. On the campaign, there's several missions. I still have to go back and finish this. I've got to do this big wave mission. I'll probably do that tomorrow, though, Wicked. Because today I just kind of wanted to go over how the game works. So when you get it, because I guarantee you, if you get this game, Wicked, it's going to overpower your senses. You're not going to know what's going on. You're going to get frustrated. And we see this. We saw this in the demo when it came out. People were bitching because it's a 5 versus 5, play field. And people were quitting halfway through, or not even halfway through. They get started and they get bombed or whatever and get their forces wiped out. And they get all pissed off thinking that they had the best, battle group there was. And they just got their asses handed to them. They get pissed off and they quit. Well, now it's 5 versus 4. And if 2 people quit because one more person quit, so now it's even harder on the group that only has 4 people. So 2 more people quit. So now it's 5 people versus 2. I've been down to a match when I was playing the demo where it was 5 people versus me. I was the only one left. And they kicked my ass. But I stuck through it because I'm one of those types of people that I don't want to give up. I want to keep going and seeing how far I can go and where my improvements can go, right? So that's one of the things that happens. People jump in this game and they think it's like every other game. And they're just going to jump in and they're going to win because I've got the best setup. I've got all M1 Abrams tanks, and there's nothing that can stop my tanks. Oh, yes, there is. I have a tactical nuke, or I have longbow helicopters that Hellfire missiles on them that just devastate. One of the things I like is I like using. Oh, I'm not on the right. Oh, I'm on the right one. Is the Kiowas? Where are the Kiowas? Right there, the Kiowa Warrior. I like to take this Kiowa, and I like to give it the better sensors because that takes it from 2,000. Okay, takes it from 1,200, being able to see out 1,200, to doubling its vision distance to 2,400. And then I like to have one pylon of Hellfire missiles. And it's only got 2 missiles. It's okay. It's only got 2. That's all right. Okay. Hellfires are a top-down. They hit the top of the armor. Okay. But then I have it set up with Stinger missiles. So if another helicopter comes in, or a plane, if the plane gets close enough for my Stingers, I can take them out with this one platform. I can take out tanks and helicopters and planes. Okay, because your Stinger will take out helicopters and planes. Okay? Right there. Helicopters and planes. And they're cheap. Okay, setting it up this way, it's 130 points. One Kiowa, 130 points. I can see further than anything else. 2,400. I've got Stingers that go out to 2,000 meters. I've got Hellfires that go out to 1,900 meters. So almost to the point where I can start to see them, I can shoot them. Now, it's only got 2 shots of each, 2 stingers and 2 hellfires. But that just means, and it's got shit for armor. I mean, it's only got 10 health points. Or it's got 8 health points, but it's got 10 armor. Okay? That's 18 points of damage. That's nothing. That's nothing. Considering one stinger does, where's the damage here? One stinger does 8 points of damage. That's its health right there. Boom, gone. Right? Because this is armor points and this is health points. So one stinger, 2 stingers, it'd have to take me out. But if you had an aircraft that had a like a Sidewinder. Sidewinder's 13 points of damage. Okay? Or you go to an Eagle and you got an AMRAAM. An AMRAAM is 16 points of damage. 16 points of damage. That right there will take out a helicopter piece of cake. But it's not designed for helicopters, it's designed for planes. But there are different, the Sidewinder can do helicopters. But that's 13 points of damage. And what was the Kiowa? The Kiowa was, where did Kiowa go? Right there. The Kiowa with my setup is 18 points. So it damn near destroys it in one shot. So that's my point, Wicked, is if you get into this game and you pick it up, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of choices to make. It's not too overwhelming because there is, if you go in, let's go back to my AirSog. If you, when you're picking your units, you got to pick what you want to play. Okay? How you want to play. Do you want to play the ground pounding vehicle infantry? Do you want to be the vehicles on the ground? Well, if you do, airborne special forces is not the 2 groups to pick. So you have to decide what you want to do first off. And then you have to decide what your battle group, what you want it to accomplish. If you want it to be a support role, if you want it to be an attacking role, if you want it to be a defending role. Because once you take over a point, because that's basically the game, is there's so many objectives on the field, and you got to take over that objective and hold it. Okay. And then if you don't have the objective, you're not holding the objective. Your job is to defeat the defenses that are holding it to take it over so you can start holding it. Okay. So there's different play styles there involved. And that's all I'm talking about is the different play styles. But with with this type of thing, with the special forces, you have some really stealthy shit. You have this, where is it? Is it this one? The Silent Hawk? Yes. The Silent Hawk helicopter. This thing, okay, so right here is your stealth. Okay. And so an Army sniper has a stealth of 3. Okay, an airborne sniper. Now, a sniper uses ghillie suits. It uses, all kinds of cover of the trees and so on and so forth. So it's really hard to spot, right? Then you throw in a helicopter like this that's got 2.5. It's almost as much as a sniper is stealthy, okay? Compared to a Little Bird. Little Bird's got 1.75. And the only reason the Little Bird is 1.75 is because it's small, right? So let's go to a different helicopter here. Let's just take a look at a Chinook. This one has a stealth rating of 1. 1. Yeah, you can see that puppy coming a mile off. There's another Chinook. It's also got a stealth rating of 1. So you got to really know what these numbers mean, right? You got to know what these numbers mean. This is the number of troops this will carry, 32 troops. It'll also carry 12 and a half tons of materials, okay? So materials are supplies that you put down on the battlefield, and then it puts a big circle around it, right? And then you run a unit into that, it'll reload the unit, it'll repair the unit, and it'll refuel the unit. Except for airplanes. It doesn't do airplanes. It doesn't refuel. The supplies don't do anything for an airplane. But it will for a helicopter. So, like, if you have these Kiowas, okay, and you have it set up the way I had it set up, with the Stingers and the Hellfires, okay, and you shoot 2 Stingers and 2 Hellfires. Well, it's done. It doesn't have any more ammo, okay? So you send it back to a supply depot like that and land it at a supply depot, and it will rearm and repair it. So if it took a hit and it's down to like half damage, you can take it there and it'll fill it back up so you don't lose the unit. So, because when you lose the unit, okay, here's how the game works. So say I have this helicopter and it's flying in, and they shoot me down. This helicopter is worth 150 points, okay? Oh, let's just do this Guardian, okay? This is a longbow. It's an Apache, but it's basically a longbow. Well, it's not a longbow because a longbow is, didn't switch. No, I guess it did. I guess I just have this one set up similar. Anyway, longbow is a good Hellfire platform because you can set these up with Hellfires. Oop. So there we go. We have 16 Hellfires on this longbow. It's worth 330 points. If the enemy shoots down my longbow, they get 330 points added to their pot. Okay. That's why it's very important, if it takes one hit, move it the hell out of there, get it back to a supply depot, repair it, and bring it out. Bring it back in. Because you don't want to give them 330 points. Now, here's where it gets really, really nasty. Here's the B-2 bomber. B-2 bomber, I can do a tactical nuke. Okay? B-2 bomber with a tactical nuke is 1,000 points. If my B-2 bomber... And I think the Lancer also has a nuke. Yeah. Also has a tactical nuke. And it's 1,000 points. If either one of those 2 planes come in and get shot down, you just handed the enemy 1,000 points that they can now buy units on their side. 1,000 points per... I mean, that's you're just giving them money to spend to attack you even further. That's how this game works. Okay. Oh, there's the Nighthawk right there. Look at that. Nighthawk 1.75. 1.75. So they're very stealthy. Very stealthy compared to this one, which is a 1. Most of these planes are 1s. That's 1.75 because that's the F-35. The Raptor is 1.75. So depending on how you want to play, if you want to play stealthy, there's the planes, you know, that you want, the F-35, the Raptor, the Spirit, and the 117, the Nighthawk. Those are the planes you want for stealthy incursion to drop stuff off. You can set each one of these up with whatever you want. You can do just regular bombs, JDAM bombs, 2,000-pound bomb. You get 2 2,000-pound bombs on here. That's massive amounts of damage. Massive amounts of damage. I mean, penetration's 85 millimeters of explosive damage, and it does 56 points. Now, here's this is a cruise missile, 60 points. So this one cruise missile is doing the amount of damage that this one bomb does. And the cruise missile can be shot off out to 10,000 meters, where this JDAM, you know, you got to laser sight it, laser designate it. I mean, you don't have to. You can just say, I want to hit in this area, and it'll drop the bombs, and those bombs will fall within that area. But if you want it to hit something specific, like a tank sitting there, right, you have to laser designate the tank. And in order to do that, you have to have a vehicle with a laser designator on it. And I don't think this has it. No. It's probably under recon. There we go. This one's a laser designated Humvee. So this Humvee's got a, it's probably an LRAD laser designator, but you can tell by the symbol that it's on it. It's got that little laser symbol. So what it does is it sneakily comes through the forest, pops out the other side, laser targets a target, and then you drop that JDAM bomb, and it'll right down in it. If you've ever seen the movie Clear and Present Danger, that's what they do. They had the infantry squad that actually used a laser designator on the big yellow 4x4 truck that was sitting at that drug lord's house, and then they dropped a JDAM on it, a 2,000-pound JDAM, and it just guides in really quiet and boom. Yeah, blew the shit out of it. But that's what it takes. You got to have a laser designator. Does infantry have it? That I don't know. I'm sure there is. Let's go back to the arsenal, the armory. Let's look at infantry, American infantry. See if any of these guys have laser designators. I bet you it's special forces. If anybody were to have it. I'm not seeing any laser designation forces there. Let's check out recon. So this tank does. This M1A2 has a laser designator on it. This one's got an LRAD on it. This Striker does. And then Special Forces Recon. Right off the top of my head, I'm not seeing one. So, which is disappointing because usually your scout snipers, your snipers have some sort of laser designator with them. Not necessarily in this game, but I'm saying typically. But that's all right. So that's the kind of things you got to look for if you want to use laser guided bombs. You got to look for that laser symbol that the unit may have. So that's the big key, is to learn or design your battle group to how you want to play. Do you want to be sneaky? You know, do you want to be an armored brigade? You know, do you want big tanks? Or, you know, do you just want to use your vehicles to get there and then offload your guys, you know? And there's so many different vehicles to choose from. So many different units. You can drive yourself nuts just figuring it out. And that's what Soup and I have been doing since we've been playing yesterday, is we're refining our battle groups. So we go back to my battle group. I have the Airborne Marines. Let's just take a look at them. And this is the way I like to play. I have 2 Global Hawks, which allows me to see the entire battlefield. Okay. These have a sight line of 550, so they can see out 550. Not very good. A little more stealthier than a plane, but not a lot. It does have a laser designator on it, so if I need to laze a unit, I can. Okay. I like these Gray Eagles. I have them set up with 4 Stingers, and 2 Hellfires. So if I get a bunch of helicopters coming in, my Stingers take care of that for me, because the Stingers are anti-helicopter and anti-plane, but only out to 2,000 meters. A lot of times what they're really good for is their Hellfires. Okay. What are the Griffin HEs? Oh yeah, those are vehicle and infantry also, but the Hellfires are top down. So if you come across a tank, this will do tank, vehicles, and infantry. So if it sees a tank, it can top down a tank with the Hellfire. So you can damage a tank big time with a cheap ass drone. These are only 115 points. Only 115 points. And then I got 2 Scout Snipers that I don't normally deploy them, but you know, I can if I want to. I'll take them and put them up on a mountaintop somewhere, so they get a good overview of what they're seeing. I mean, because they got a 2,000 meter range to see, but I equipped them with the anti-materials loadout. So there's a regular sniper rifle, and then there's the anti-material. The anti-material sniper rifle will shoot down vehicles and helicopters. Will shoot at them. Doesn't do a lot of damage, only 4.3 damage, but it can still shoot them. It's basically the 50 caliber sniper rifle. It's the 50 caliber Barrett versus like the M38, the M40. The M40 sniper rifle is more of an anti. It says it can take out helicopters and stuff, yeah, but it's only 3.6 points of damage. I mean, the Barrett is a lot better with 4.3 points of damage. So, I don't use them a lot, but I use them for every once in a while. What I did get them for was this vehicle. Okay. This vehicle has the Bushmaster on it. And then I gave it the better optics. Because with the standard optics, it only goes out to 1,400 meters. But for 20 more points, I give it more armor. Doubles their armor. And it reaches out from 1,400 to 1,750. And it has the Bushmaster chain gun on it, which is I believe it's a 20 millimeter, 25 millimeter, something like that. It's got 135 rounds on it. So if you come across, the magazine size is 135. It's got 25 mil or 137 millimeter. Oh, it's bigger than I thought. Yeah. So that's even better. Great anti-infantry gun or vehicle. If it comes up against infantry, that Bushmaster, oh yeah, definitely. So I took the 2 snipers to get 2 of these in this category. So you got a category here that this is maxed out at 1,000, the recon is. It's maxed out at 1,000 points. You can go 10% above that. So you can go to 1,100. I'm at 1080. Okay. And there's no more upgrades that I can do to this that I'd want, right? I'm thinking about actually changing this instead of having the Hellfires, is to go all Stingers and make it an anti-air, anti-helicopter platform, which would be really cool. It's slow, it's only 270 speed, where most helicopters, let's look at this Kiowa here. This helicopter is 205, and this one's only, well, that says 270. Oh, I'm sorry, not helicopters, planes. Let's just look at my Hornet here.
Read it later.
This got a speed of 810 miles an hour. So it's a lot faster. So if you really wanted to get in there and get something done, you'd bring in one of these, because this will shoot down helicopters and planes. AMRAAMs for planes, Sidewinders, best medium to short range missile there is. Plus, it's got this one I have set up to some Mavericks. It's got 4 Mavericks, so it can do a bombing run. And the Mavericks can be either laser designated or just dropped over an area. So either way, kind of like a Warthog. The A-10 Warthog, I have the Mavericks, but there's 6 on there. But here's the devastating part, is that 137 millimeter, 30 caliber. Yeah, 30 millimeter. I know that's a 30 millimeter. Direct fire, 6-barreled Gatling gun. 1,400 meter at low altitude, 1,000 at high. Ground range, 2,000 meters. So a lot of this is looking at the stats of what you're trying to do with this. But so what I have for mine, like I said, I've got these. I want to change this back so I don't forget. I still want my Hellfires. Oop, not that one. There we go. I like this to have set up to bring in to not only take care of helicopters, but to also take out tanks and vehicles. It also can laser designate. So once it shoots its stuff, it could still laser target something, and then you could bring in something that requires laser designation and be able to hit the target very, very accurately. Very accurately. Then for infantry, I've got the Cat Javelins. The Javelins are a top-down missile. And what's nice is it has 4 of them. There's only 2 people. There's only 2 Javelins in the squad, right? Only 2 people have them. I believe it's 2. Let's see. I know there's 4. It has 4 missiles. So I think it's what it is 2 people have 2 missiles for the Javelin. So you got 4 shots with the Javelin. And I changed them from the regular dragons, which is what the Cat normally comes with, to the Javelin, because now it's a top-down attack instead of a side attack or a direct fire attack. So the Javelins are a top-down, so it does more damage to the tank. It also has a Browning M2 machine gun, and it's got a 240 machine gun, a saw, and then, of course, everybody else is running with assault rifles. So 5.56. I've got Stingers. I got a Stinger team. So I got my Cat teams. Stinger team, Weapon Squad. This one's a really good one to have because it's kind of an all-around. It's got Javelins again, and it's got a 240 machine gun. Not quite as good as the Cats because they got that 50 cal. And then my tow team, I only got 2 of these because I capped out on my infantry. So I brought in 2 tows, and these tows are the tow 2Bs, which are top downs. Because you can change, the anti-tank is a 2A, and that's a side one. And I like the top down. So I switched it over to the 2Bs. And that's got 6 rounds. That's got 6 missiles on it. So the difference is this one goes out to 1,600 meters. The Javelins go out to 1,300. Oh, is a tow better than the Javelin? Tow's 1,600 meters. Oh, shit. See, I missed that one. And the Javelin's 1,300. I would rather have more tows than Javelins, but these aren't going to survive very well because they just have infantrymen with ARs. What's the stealth? 175 versus 175. Yeah, I might want to change that out and get rid of one of these and add. Now I'm 25 over if I take 4 of them. But I like that. I'm still in my infantry, so I just got to get rid of 25 points now. I'm 25 points over. So that's going to be a weapon add-on system. And I bet you... All right, this has... I have 2 of these? Yeah. So I could drop these down to a regular 240. Nope. I'm going to drop them to nothing. I'm still 5 over. That's all right. I don't need protection for that. This one's the same way. I don't need to have the machine gun. There we go. Now I'm under. So let's see about putting a regular machine gun back on these. No, that puts me 5 over because I have 2 of them. I have 2 of these. If I went 10, then I'm 5 over. All right, well, that's fine. I'll leave that with just a regular machine gun. Because what I did here is I made this one the flatbed option. Because if you just take the regular troop transport, you can only haul 3 tons of materials. Where I make it a flatbed option, I can still haul, and I think this is a mistake. You can still haul 18 people, but you can carry 6 tons versus 3 tons. And it doesn't cost you anything. I think that's a mistake. I don't think when you go to the flatbed that you can carry that many people. But it may be a flaw in the game right now. Who knows? Anyway, let's resave that. That's a good catch right there. See, and this is the kind of thing you can do. You can sit there and keep playing with these and going, oh man, I could tweak this, and then I got a couple more points I got to get rid of. So you got to tweak your play style, right? So I have four A10 Warthogs, which I love. I got my Hornets, which is also a missile drop. It's just a lot faster. 810 versus 450. So double the speed of my Thunderbolts. More expensive, though, 325. So what I could do is I could drop one of these and put in another one of these. Then I'm 30 points over on my total. See? So let's go back down. I like having the 4 Thunderbolts, because if I see people in the back and they're not protected by air, man, I can come in with 4 A10 Warthogs. Ho, 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 buddy. And then one Hornet. And then this is my only air-to-air defense. So anytime I see airplanes come in, I have one plane at 435 points. So what I do is I bring him in, I let him shoot off some missiles, and I return him right off the bat, trying not to get him destroyed in a dogfight, because he's 435 points that I'm giving to the enemy if I do that. So I bring in my F-15 EX Strike Eagle 2 for one time, and that's it. Then this guy's got, he's got some AMRAAMs and Sidewinders. So I do have a backup in case I don't get everything with my Eagle. I can bring in my Hornet. But this one's got a couple of Sidewinders, but bad choice. I mean, the Sidewinder only has a 2,000 meter range, so you have to be pretty close. So that's kind of like almost a self-defense against helicopters. I mean, you can shoot down planes, but man, the planes can sit back with an AMRAAM and take out my A-10s. So it's not a good choice, but it's the way I like to play. I got a couple of air defense. This is my primary. This is a backup. These are my primary ground targets. Here's a backup. I have the Kiowas, like I said, set up the way I normally do. They got the double vision. They've got Hellfires and Stingers. Then I got a Sea King for bringing in 16 tons of materials. And if I really wanted to, I could bring in another 6,500 on my Osprey. The Osprey's a really quick, gets in. It just takes forever to land. So speed-wise, this is a lot faster, because it's basically an airplane when it's in this configuration. And then when it goes into a hover mode, these rotate and then come down. That's why it takes so long for this to unload. This is like if I've already got an area that's secure, I'll bring in my Ospreys. Where my Sea Kings, I've got 2 heavy machine guns on this, the GAU-27s, which are what? They are a 12.7 millimeter. So, devastating for a transport helicopter. This is what I'll use to come in with. I can carry up to 30 troops, where the Osprey carries 28. I can bring in 30 troops. I can bring in 16 tons of materials, which is like a tank. I could put a tank in there, I think. I think I can put if not a tank, at least a LAV. So I only have the 2 tanks anyway. Now, my 2 tanks are set up to be trophy tanks. Now, there was somebody who was telling me that if I change my M8, where's my M8? Right here, to the Thunderbolt, yeah, that's almost the equivalent of almost to the equivalency of my M1. Problem is, my M1 let's see, this has 6 rounds. It has 6 armor piercing and 14 heat. So that's meant more for infantry, this tank versus infantry, because it's got 14 shells. And then it's got this 120 the 240 machine gun and a Browning, 50 caliber Browning on it. I guess the 12.7 is 50 cal. Okay. Where the M1 has 16 anti-tank and 24 against infantry. So it has a lot more ammunition. Okay. But this one also supposedly I can get the Iron Fist, which is it's like the M1 Abrams active protection system, the APS. It's the same thing. So you get the Thunderbolt with the APS. What this does is as a missile is coming in towards the tank, it will send up its own little explosion right before it hits and knock out the missile before it hits the tank. So this one has 2 active protection, and the M1 Abrams has 4. Has 4. It has 2 smoke launchers. Smoke grenades. So one of the tactics is you come in with your M1 tank, you shoot, you smoke, and then you reverse, you back up. So there is a button that you can set, a hotkey that you can set. It's the Bravo key by default, but you can set it to whatever you want. That will back up so you keep your frontal armor, which is at 1300. Okay. Now I could go to the Tusk. What's the Tusk take me to? 13 to... Yeah, okay. So the Tusk doesn't do anything for your frontal armor, but it does for your side and your back. Right? No, just your side armor. So it takes it from 250 to 450. So you could armor up your tanks a little bit more for side penetration. I take the risk because being a tank battler is not my main function. I have this tank just in case I need to bring in some heavy firepower, but I've only got 2. But see, then I combine them with my tows. So these are my tow missile launchers, and they're tow Bs. They're the modernized anti-tank. Okay. So they're a top-down. Right there. Top-down tow. I have 12 shots. Okay. And then I have 4 of irregular tows. So realistically, I've got 16 rounds of tows with this one. So I'll bring in this tank with this LAV, and then I'll bring in some anti-air with it. Now, this one's also a tow missile launcher. These are really cheap. These are Humvees with tows on them. Yeah, toes. Got my toes in the sand. But these are really cheap. But if you take one Humvee and you can take out a tank with it, you know, what's a tank? 330? And a 65 point tow? I will trade 65 points to get 330 every day. And that's how I build up my points. Is that I got these cheaper units taking out these bigger units cheaply. I mean, that's 100 units for a LAV with a tow on it. I'll gladly trade 100 points for 300. And if I can take out 2 tanks with my LAV or my Humvee, holy shit, I'm doubling my money, right? Because that's what the game's all about. Anyway, so I'll take my M1, my LAVs, and then I'll take in either this guy, which is another LAV, which has a Gatling gun on it, a 25 millimeter Gatling gun, and stingers for anti-air. Now this has got a range of 1300 for anti-air, and this has got a range of 2000. Now this will also take out infantry, which is what I really like. and light vehicles, helicopters, and jets. And then this one is just helicopters and jets. But, I mean, for protection, so you got your tank. You got your tank for taking out everything. Anti-tank to go with it. And then the LAV for air protection. Holy shit. It's almost an unstoppable force. Between the 25 millimeter Gatling gun. And it's only got 900 rounds. So, this is the kind of thing you want to push. I can do a little push on an area with this setup and then get it and then supply it with javelins and weapon squads and stingers, infantry, and hold that area with these units, typically. And then I really like to do artillery. So my support is very heavily artillery based. So I have a slam ram, which is anti-air, and then I have LAVs also. So I have 3 of those. I have my slam, which is AIM-9s and AMRAMs. So this is my anti-air, anti-helicopter platform. Now, unfortunately, it's on a truck, so it can be taken out really quickly, and it's not stealthy at all. So basically, it has to be in with the artillery to protect the artillery. And then what I do is I have my Hawkeyes and my Brutus. My Brutus is probably the best artillery that this setup has. It goes out 3,800 meters. And then, of course, my Hawkeyes go out to 3,500. So they're really close to the same, and I got 6 of them total. 3 of each. Okay? Now, I could take out the Hawkeyes, which I have done in the past, and gone all Brutus. Because I could take out 1, 2, 3. Let's just take out all 3. How many more can I get here? Oh, see, I can only have 3 Brutus. I can only have 3 Brutus. That's why. I can have 6 Hawkeyes, and that's what I've done before, is take away my Brutus and bring in my Hawkeyes. But then I can only go out 3,500 meters, which is still a long ways to go. And I've done this before. But right now, I've got 6. 3 Brutus out further and 3 Hawkeyes that aren't. So what happens a lot of times is if it's just beyond the range or right at the max range of the Brutus, the Hawkeyes will just move forward 300 meters and then start shooting. So that's my artillery. And then, of course, I bring in one of these. These are basically shipping containers on wheels. And it holds 15 tons of materials. And I'll bring one of these in right to where my artillery's at and supply them with 15 tons of materials. So they have rounds to spend all day long. And then I just start dropping artillery everywhere. And if I need to resupply it, this is a 6,000. Like I said, this is one that I went to the flatbed version because normally these are 3,000, but I went to the flatbed so I can bring in 6 tons of materials. So if I need to replenish anything, 6 tons is a pretty good number. 4,000 is probably pretty good for rearming, repairing any vehicle that may come in. So, I figured, okay, six tons. It doesn't really cut down on the speed at all because this is 105. Whoop. And that's 105. So the speed is not affecting the speed any. I really think this is a mistake because it can carry troops and 6 tons. I don't think it's supposed to be able to carry troops. We'll just see how long it takes for them to figure that out. Slytherin is the one that sets all these up. But I think that's a mistake. I don't think it's supposed to be that way. Especially for 0 points. Why would you go this route versus this route? I still have a 240 machine gun on it. If I could get away with putting a heavy gun on it, but that's another 10 points. And that's going to put me 5 over my total. I'd rather have the heavy machine gun, but that's all right. And this one, I very rarely gets into combat. I just gave it points because I had extra points. So I just added a machine gun to it, and I can take that off and readjust my whole battle group. So, but that's, like I said, that's the way I play. I've got my helicopters here. I've got a Sea Stallion, an Osprey. I got 3 Vipers, which are basically attack helicopters, which I have Hellfires on, and then a couple of missile or anti. What are the sidearms? What are they? Anti-air. No. Oh, I guess I didn't realize a sidearm. Well, hell, what's the difference between a sidearm? Can I put another? Air-to-ground missile. I should have it as a Sidewinder. I don't know how I got sidearm on there. Sidearm's an air-to-ground. So that's just another 2 more missiles for taking out planes, tanks, and oh, that's why. Because it's anti-radiation. It's a harm. It's a seed, which is a that's why I did it. So seed is an anti-radiation. So if somebody turns on their radar, this missile will seek it out, and that goes out to 3,000 meters. So if I get close to an anti-air system that turns it on, this helicopter can take it out. I have this on my Hornet, I believe. No, it's on my. Yeah, it's on my Strike Eagle. I have 2 harms on here, which goes out to 8,000, but that's also an anti-radiation. So if I know for sure they have missile defense systems, like the Patriot batteries. Patriot battery relies on having your radar turned on. If you can't turn on your radar, you can't shoot your missiles. And these anti-radiation missiles will seek those out and destroy them. So I have one here on the Strike Eagle that I have 2 there. And then, of course, my Vipers, which I always have in the field. I have 3 availability of 3 Vipers. Those also have the AGMs, air-to-ground missiles on them. I used to have it with the anti-helicopter, but I don't do that anymore because with the Kiowas there, they have 2 Stingers, so that kind of protects it. So I swapped those around, so I had the harm missiles, the air-to-ground anti-radiation missiles. So, which is a good thing. But they're not only just anti-radiation, they're also anti-tank and anti-vehicle. So I can shoot them at either. But yeah, that's pretty much my setup and why I have it set up the way I do. So I'm kind of a support, little bit of attack, and then defensive. Because my cat javelins and my weapon squads and my tows are huge for protecting a area. Because it takes out any tanks that come into view. Because of the Browning machine guns on the cats and the 240s. That's a medium machine gun. That's a 240 saw. These guys can pretty much hold their own. The tows don't hold their own much. I mean, they're just meant for anti-tank. So when you're setting up on a base, and you've taken over an area, you want these tows set up so they can look straight down the roads, because that's typically where your tanks are coming from, is down a road, or your anti-tank vehicles are coming down the roads. So you want your tows set up so you can look down the roads. Your javelins are kind of the same way, although those can be set up in high-rise buildings. And your Stinger teams, definitely you want to be outside the area, so as a plane comes in, or a helicopter, your Stinger teams can take them out right off the bat. Now, unfortunately, the Stinger teams only have 2 missiles, but I think there's 3 people with Stingers. 3 guys, or maybe it's only 1. Yeah, no, 2. There's 2 guys with stingers with 3 stingers each. So that's how it gives you 6 stingers. But it can only fire 2 stingers at once. So, you know, if you got 3 helicopters coming in, it's only going to hit 2 of them. And then there's a reload time. So then when you start looking at it and go, all right, what's the reload time on these stingers? And that's a resupply. I guess that's it, resupply. Oh, no, right up here. Reload time is 6 to 9 seconds. So 10 seconds can be an eternity. And then once you send it back for resupply, it takes 5 seconds to resupply the group. So all of these stats all have an important meaning behind them. And it's just in the way you want to put your team together and the way you want to play the game. Okay? So with that being said, I think we're pretty much set on explaining vehicles, explaining what each thing does. I want to kind of work with the editor today to kind of show you how that works. And the AI. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my Siege of Bastogne. This is a very interesting scenario that I came up with. I was actually sitting here playing Broken Arrow, and I started watching Band of Brothers, and it was the winter scene where they were at Bastogne, and they were dug in, and you know the medics running around, and people are freezing their toes off, and then the artillery comes in, and blah blah blah, and then they siege the city of Foy. And you know, it's a great show. And so I went, okay, let's do the Siege of Bastogne. So I went and looked up exactly what units, how many units there were in the Siege of Bastogne. So I found a map that showed the city of Bastogne and the units, the airborne units that were around it, and then what German units were there in the area to attack Bastogne. So, without further ado, we'll bring up the map editor, and I'll show you how I made this scenario. So, scenario creation is really not that hard. If you guys are into creating battles and stuff like that, you basically, what you do is you set up a series of battles so hold on. All right. So you see in the red, this is the whole map. Okay. I could set a play area. Okay. What's it called? It's called a, where is that? Oh, it's under object, I think. Yeah. So I can set up a playable zone. It's that second one down from the top. Okay. So I can set up a playable zone, and this playable zone, you got to scroll down into it here. The playable zone is this square right here. So I could set up this playable zone and say you can only, on this map, you can only play in this zone. So you could set up a very short scenario that here's a farmhouse, right? And here's some woods and a road that comes in, right? So you could set your, what's it called? Your spawn location on the road. And then you could set up a defense over here, and you could set up your objective zone. It can either be a square or a square or a circle. And then you can make this as big or little. So this scale here is width, height, and width, depth, and height. Okay, are the three. So it's this right here. This objective zone is 50 by 50 by 50. So I could change this, say, 150, and now I make it an oval. Okay, And I set this one to 150, and I made a bigger circle. And then you could encircle that. Oh, I don't want a circle. So let's go down here. Where is it? Let's make it a box instead. So there we go. So now I changed it to 150 by 150 box. So what happens is, this is the objective. So the enemy has to come in and take over this objective. Or the enemy has this and you have to come in and take it over. And you can set this default is neutral. Owner team right here. You could set it to the alpha team or to the Bravo team, or you could set it to a neutral team, which is what it comes in as. So you could set it as alpha, and now you've got these guys defending this small little map here. Now this small little map, this player zone, can be changed. It's 500 by 500 right now. You could change that if you wanted this farm up here, or you could just move the map. Okay. So you could set a player zone. This is the only area out of this entire map that they can play in. So you can look through the map and go, oh, I only want them to play right in this area here. And let's do a or maybe this town, right? Let's do street battles. And that's all we do. Okay. There's also big major cities like over here. Like right here, I think, where was that? So yeah, so here's some high-rise buildings. You know, here's an apartment complex, a parking lot. So what I did is I set up this objective zone as being this park in the middle of Bastogne. Now, this isn't Bastogne. This is just some random city. It was the closest when I was looking at the maps. This is the closest to the way Bastogne looks. So that was pretty cool. Let me move over. What did I do? Where is that? Where did I set that up at? Oh, right here. So I want to get rid of all this. Boom. It's all gone. That's how simple it is to make something in this game. Now, the difficult part comes when you want to get your AI to move. Okay. So right now, I'm using the entire map. Okay. And I've got the AI spread out to exactly the way the map showed it for the Siege of Bastogne. Okay. So on the Siege of Bastogne, there were 3 Panzer Tiger divisions in this area. There was one here, and then one up kind of northeast. Northeast. Then there was another one way up here to more northeast. Okay. And then there was infantry. 1, 2 infantry there. There's another tank down south. And then these are these were recon units. Was it reconnaissance? Yeah. And there was another infantry unit there. Okay. And this was the 101st Airborne. So I basically took the airborne NGWS soldiers. So these are all airborne units. And then they had 2 tanks, 2 tank divisions, and another airborne command division. But there's no command units in this game. You know, there's not like a command overall command unit that is in charge of everything. They don't have that in this, because you are acting as the command unit. You know, as you're playing this game, you're the command. So, but these were all the airborne units that it had, and the 2 tanks and the 1 airborne in the city, and in the positions they were at. And then there was 1 artillery division. So I put in a Brutus here. And then there was another artillery that was armored artillery, not just artillery. So that's where the Paladin comes in, and it was clear back here. And then there was an engineering division over here. And there was another engineering squad that was just south of the city. Kind of south. Yeah, kind of southish. Southeast. That had supplies. So, in the Siege of Bastogne for a modern day, you have 2 supplies. You have this airborne. And you can only play with the units that are on the map. Now, to get the AI to work, that was the difficult part. I wasn't sure how that worked. So I had to go to another scenario that was already done and look at the way they did their AI. And they basically do their AI with waypoints. Okay? So that is right here, a waypoint. Okay? So basically what you do is you set up waypoints on, like, see, if you wanted these tanks to patrol around the city block, you'd set up 4 waypoints. Actually, you'd set up 3. 1, 2, 3. No, you'd set up 4 because it'd have to come to here. And then what you do is you tell the tank to go from one waypoint to another, one waypoint to another, one waypoint to another. So, and, you know, you could set up the waypoint and put tanks on opposite sides, and then when it starts, they would follow the waypoints so they kind of patrol opposite each other. So it's really easy to set up patrols. So what I did is I put one waypoint in the middle of the objective, and I told all the red units to head towards that waypoint. So that's how they are going to attack the city of Bastogne and capture it. Now, the thing is, they will use the best way possible. So this tank is sitting here in the trees right now. See if I can see it. There it is. So this tank is in the trees right now. So what it'll do to get to that waypoint, it'll come out to the road and it'll come down the road. It does that automatically. Unless I were to set up a waypoint for it to go from where it's at, through these trees, through those trees, set up a waypoint at each one, then it'll go to the waypoint, go to the waypoint, go to the waypoint. And so you could set it up to a specific route, or you can just say, head to that waypoint, and it'll take the way it wants to go. Okay? So to make it really simple, I just said, all units converge to this one waypoint and get there however you want to get there. And so basically it's an all-out attack from the AI heading straight towards that waypoint, which is ever the easiest way to get there. Okay? And then I had to set up a script. The script was probably the hardest point. So the script is, how do we do this? Okay, so first off, we start the game. Okay, so you have to have a start script. And you just, and this is the part that really threw me. I didn't even know how to do this. You right click. Right click and it brings up a list. And you can search that list, or you can go through each one individually. Okay, so you can have an airstrike, you can have an airdrop, you know, so there's all sorts of things that you can do with this stuff. Okay, so you start it off. The first thing I did was start it off, and I came up with the main dialogue. Okay, had a nice little picture of me, Captain Adonis, my dark captain, and then I had the Siege of Bastogne map from 1942. I think it was 43, whatever it is. Anyway, I had the Siege of Bastogne map come up. You can't really read it, so I'm not giving anything away, but you see me, and then this message comes up. Red team, you have 20 minutes to come to capture Bastogne. Blue team, you must hold Bastogne for 20 minutes. Okay. So then what I did is I went right, the next thing it does, it goes both directions. It goes down here to check to see if the objective has been captured. Nope, hasn't been captured. So it doesn't go anywhere after that. Once it becomes captured, once that objective in Bastogne has been captured, then it does this. The player loses because I didn't hold Bastogne. The AI won. And then I play this little cutscene where it plays the road to Moscow, and I have a smoking captain. And then if I win, or after 20 minutes, which is 1200 seconds, if this value hasn't happened after that time frame, it goes up here and says you won because you lasted 20 minutes against the AI. And then I play my video, Why is the Rum Gone, with the baby Captain Jack Sparrow, and I can't remember the girl's name. But it plays her. And they're the new those new AI baby videos. Have you seen those? Those are amazing. And then it plays Anchors Away. And then you've won. So very simple, very basic AI setup. You could get extremely complicated on your waypoints, on how stuff moves. So if you wanted to set the AI up to defend Bastogne, you could set up patrols, for infantry or for tanks or for whatever. Awesome. Well, I'm just wicked. I'm just going over the editor now, the scenario editor. And this is this was the Siege of Bastogne. The Siege of Bastogne as far as in modern days. Okay, it's a World War II siege, but nice. Well, Wicked, when you do, let me know, and we will definitely play some co-op together. I can help you out as much as I can. I'm like I said, Shoop and I played yesterday. I learned a lot off him. He learned a lot off me. It was a lot of fun. And we could get the three of us together because you can go up to 5 players. You can go up to 10 players. It's just 5 versus 5. So the more people, the better. But this is the way to create your own scenarios. Now I'm going to show you what a real scenario looks like. I'm not going to save this because it's already saved the way I want it. But I'm going to show you what a scenario that the Slytherin, the game company that made this game, the way they do it. So they have several missions down here. These are official missions. Nice. So here's a power plant invasion. This is a Russian power plant invasion. Here's the USA battle whatever invasion, the refinery invasion for Russia, and the refinery invasion for the US. So I took the Batusk invasion, and I wanted to see the way the people at Slytherin set this up to do the AI. So you can copy this right here. This is the copy button. This is browsing their folders. And I created it up here. So that way I can play with it. I can go in and I can look at the way they did it. Okay? So we're going to go in and we're going to look at the way Slytherin set up their mission. Now, when you play this one, it's really kind of fun because they have an Arleigh Burke class cruiser, which has cruise missiles on it, Tomahawk cruise missiles. They have this LHA, which is where they bring in, so they have this spawn here for the ships, because they have landing hovercraft. So this is an amphibious landing, right? And you've got, I think it's 36 Tomahawks, and then you got a whole bunch of artillery on board this Arleigh Burke. Okay. So your job is to take over each one of these areas. Okay. Now, if you look at this, they don't have a lot of units out. It doesn't look like, it's like, man, they got this unit, they got that unit. What is up with that? Well, they're trigger points in this game that until you reach that trigger point, it doesn't trigger any of the other units. So they have these waypoints, but then they have these spawn infantry, or assault, I guess. Vehicle waypoint, all sorts of interesting things. And so I was like, okay, so how do I do this? How do I make my waypoints? Because they're only showing a few units, right? There's only the red is their units. So they got, you know, a ZSU sitting here, and then whatever this thing is, a Book M2. I have no idea what these units are. So those are the only units that are out there visibly right now. Okay. So I was like, well, but when I played this, there was a shit ton of vehicles and enemy. So then you come in to the script editor. Where's the script editor? Right there. And holy shit. Here's their script editor. Seems pretty straightforward till you start looking at this stuff. And they've got mission storage, objective zone, objective A2, objective zone B2, objective zone B2. I have no idea what half of this stuff is, right? So here's where it says get player. But basically it starts up here. So it starts right here. Here's the start. You got a fade in and fade out screen. So they're making this very elaborate. So they're going to black screen, fade in, fade out. Then they have a time delay of 0.5 seconds. Then alpha players added in. And then you have an actable play zone. So you come in, you just follow the arrows. So if you do this with more than one person, then there comes this, the network player. Okay. So this gives you alpha team. It's probably 2. Okay. Or it just sets you to alpha team. So this is 1 to 2 players, which is, I think, what the scenario was. So now I can bring in somebody else. So that what it does is it looks for a network player. And if it does, then that network player comes in here, has the ability to add units from their deck to the game. Okay. And they all have to come in on the LCACs, which are the hovercrafts, right? And then they both come in, I think. This sets the money, sets the income. This one comes in, active play zone. Delay. Object visibility. Mission storage. Another delay. Another object update task. All right. So these are the mission storage for objective A1. See, so there's all these things that it can do, these scripts. So we're going to back out of the script here. So basically what it's saying is you can only spawn in at their spawn points. The planes are back here. Camera starts way up there. Playable zone is here. Okay, so when you look at this playable zone, it's only this first zone. So it comes to here and then kicks over to here. Okay, and to there. So you can't go play over here yet. This is your playable zone. Your first area is right here. Then playable zone 2 is here. And that takes us, goes out a lot further, out to here, and then comes over. And then playable zone 3 is there. Comes all the way to here. Okay. And you can't go any further than here. So all this down here is not used. Although there are waypoints and stuff down here. So see, I think they're getting ready to... Unless this goes to the overall... Once you get past play zone 3, it opens up the whole map, and then there's all sorts of stuff down here that spawns in behind you. That could be the way it goes. I don't know. I didn't finish this mission. I got into it, and then I was like, okay, I understand how it's working now to do my script for my Siege of Bastogne, because there's only a couple things I really needed to look at. But if you really want to deep dive into the editor, this one, I believe, tells you got to take this zone. Then once you've captured that zone, you got to capture the next zone, which is here, before you can move on to capture this one. And then once you've captured this one, you have to come over here and capture this island zone, which means it's another amphibious crossing. And then once you've completed that, then I think it's done. Once you complete this last objective, 4A, then I think you're done. But see, they got spawn vehicles. I have no idea what that does. It spawns a vehicle of some sort, I'm sure. But it just doesn't tell you what the vehicle is. Because you don't want the vehicles out yet, taking up computer resources when all you're doing is playing in this area. Why would you want that stuff to spawn in and play when the people that are playing the first part of the game can't even get to there? Okay. Now, can their LCACs move over to here? I don't know. I didn't try. It may not. I don't know. I don't remember. Because I think when I did this, I landed my stuff here. So I came in and I used up all of my missiles and took out all the vehicles here, took out all the enemy, and then with my artillery from the Arleigh Burke, I used up all my cruise missiles on everything that was here, and I made an amphibious landing, and then just walked into these areas and took them over. So it was pretty straightforward, pretty simple for me. And then the push came from, I had to go into this next sector and take this one, and then that's what I did. I moved some of my landing force, just came right through here, took that one, and then I did a pincing maneuver for my units that were here, came up to this one, and then moved from this area where I had captured that one, did a pincer maneuver and came in from two directions, one here, took this joint, and then it opened up this zone I had to take, and yeah, this zone here. So I just moved half my units up that way, and so after I did my pincer maneuver with two separate forces, I took one half of the force and moved over to here. The other half moved up, took over that one and that one. And then I got all the way to here, and I had to take over this fort, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning by that time. And I said, nope, I'm done. So I didn't actually finish it. I didn't actually get over here to do the landing. I was prepping for the landing to get over here to do this one. But yeah. So it was a fun one. And this is a designed mission from Slytherin. One of their skirmishes, one of their scenarios, I would say. So, I mean, if you want to get elaborate, just look at one of theirs and see how they're doing it. Look at their scripts, see what they're doing. So, because there's nearly no, I've already looked, there's really no manual or anything that I found anyway to explain any of this stuff. There's a lot of YouTube videos, people with opinions, you know, they're like assholes. Everybody's got one on what's best and what's worse. There are a lot of people that really like the Russian units. The VDV, they got a tank brigade. They really like the Russian units as far as what they can do. I happen to be very pro-American, so I have not played any Russian units at all. I play strictly U.S. units. And if we get together, any of you decide to get together with me, we will be playing U.S. units. What I do want to do is I want to create a scenario, Civil War. I want to do a U.S. versus U.S. And of course I want AI, so I've got to get a little bit better on programming my AI. So I'll be deep diving more into how these guys did their AI stuff down here. And then, of course, then you can go to the workshop. And they have tons of stuff in the workshop, the Steam workshop, that you can download. I downloaded this one called A Rock and a Hard Place. And, of course, anything you download, you can copy it and go in and look at. I got one called Black Hawk Down. Co-op scenario up to 5 people called Bay's End. So that one will be interesting if I get a bunch of people together and we can do a 5-player co-op. Iron Siege. I have to look at this one because I think this one was castle in Russia has been identified as a Russian stronghold. This can go 2 ways. Either take it and use it for artillery and AA, or it continues to lay down fire on our troops and shoot down our planes. Oh, and that's a 5v5 skirmish. So this is 5 versus 5, so there's probably no AI in it. But I thought that was so cool, the winter castle. I've looked at that map. I really like that map. And then there's Python, which is a PvE, which is 1 to 5 players. Operation Stormbreak, which looked like 2-player co-op. Riga International Airport reworked. I just thought, I kind of like the airport ones. And then, what's this one? The Big Wave. More AI ally reinforcements. New voice lines. More units in the player's deck. So they upgraded the amount of money you can spend in the player's deck. It looks like you can only play their deck, though. So see, some of these are very restrictive. You can only play their deck, and this is what they give you. So it's like a really fast U.S. interdiction. Looks like all you've got are Marines. So it's some sort of an amphibious landing, I guess. Because you've got Marines. Yeah, you got some recon up there. But it's basically infantry. And there's some support. 1 helicopter, 1 airplane, and the airplane is air cargo drop, unless those are the C-130 gunships. I think the C-130 gunships are at an angle like that for the air power. And of course, the helicopters are all Hueys, so those are all cargo. So interesting deck that you can play with. And then the Wolverines. I thought, okay, is this like the movie The Wolverines? The Russians are coming in by air, sea, and land. Hold them off. Supports 2 to 5 players. So I don't know if this, I'm assuming it's got AI in it. I downloaded these and I'm going to copy them and look at them to see if they're all set up for AI or if it's 2 to 5 players against each other. He doesn't say. When it says supports 2 to 5 players, that could be 2v2, 3v3, 5v5. Yeah, well, not 5v5 because it's up to 5 players. So 2v3, 2v2. 1v4. I don't know. So that's the thing about it. If you're going to design stuff, you need to give them the basic information. I did the Siege of Bastogne. I put in there, can only use the units in the field, no new units. This is a modern replay of the Siege of Bastogne that took place in World War II, solo play. So, it's not co-op. I wouldn't even know where to start to make it co-op. I guess give half of the airborne units to one guy and half to the other. I don't even know if you can do that. So anyway, I was looking at the Black Hawk Down one because that was pretty cool. Black Hawk Down is you've got one ranger unit, infantry ranger unit, and you got to get all the way to the other side of the map without dying. I made it about a third of the way and I died. So yeah, I didn't make it very far. So anyway, guys, I think, I know it's only been a 2-hour stream, but I kind of showed you everything I wanted to show you as far as the game itself. So if this is something, like I said, there are scenarios. In these scenarios, I started off playing these, which I will finish up playing these. But the problem with the scenarios is you're playing with the units they're telling you to play with. So it's not giving you any experience on playing the units that you want to play. If you want to do that, then you got to do scenarios, or, which means you have to go either play just the 4 official ones or go download them at the Steam Workshop, or you do a skirmish battle, which a skirmish battle is actually setting up a PvP battle. Okay, so you can have up to 5 people and 5 people. You could set up a skirmish for real people, or you can set all of these to AI. Okay. Once you choose the map, it doesn't make any difference. Choose the map here. So right now I have all AI units right now. And then I can have up to 5 players play against them, or I can eliminate them and do 1 unit versus 1 unit. But the problem is it only plays 1 deck. So it's either you're up against Tank Brigade, VDV, Coastal Troops, whatever these are. Oh, because I have it set to both. See, this is where I think it would be fun to do, like, against American infantry. My battle group, my airborne Marines against mechanized infantry or an armored brigade or airborne. Just playing against the U.S. Or you can set it down here to only be Russian. So they got mechanized infantry. This is infantry, I believe. And that's like your Marines. Your VDV is like airborne units. These are like your moto, whatever. Your motos, which is your motorized, mechanized infantry and such, or against Tank Brigade, which are tanks. Okay, VDV is your airborne. You can tell by the symbol. Coastal Troops, striker units, and then, or maybe this is your. No, I bet you this is Special Forces, and your mechanized infantry is this one. So I bet you that's Special Forces. So you can go up against Special Forces. See how good you do against Special Forces, an entire Special Forces group. So, unfortunately, yours is a mix of 2 units. These are 1 units themselves. Now you could open it up to another one and do, armored brigade with Marines or airborne Marines, airborne and Marines against airborne Marines. Russian versus American. But anyway, that actually creates a lobby, which you can make private, and then You invite people to your lobby by clicking this button right here. This is create invitation link. You can do a link for Discord, or you can do a link in just a regular clipboard to your clipboard, and then you can send it out via email or whatever to invite them to this lobby. Anyway, we're going to leave the lobby. And then there's just the multiplayer, which is the same as doing the skirmish, except in the skirmish, you're setting up the lobby. I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't hit private, all of a sudden people will start coming in. They'll start joining you. So leave the lobby again. So that's how you do it. You have to be friends with somebody. And the way you find out if you're friends with them, you come up here to your icon, which is all your stats. And you got right here, you got contacts. And I've got, these are my Steam contacts that own the game. So if we're friends on Steam, you will come up as one of my contacts. So I've got Matt and Shoopaloop, and then Corporal Cash. He's the one that plays with General Rico, Casper Van Dien. He plays a lot of these war games and Starship Troopers and stuff like that. So, and I'm friends with him on Steam. So, but there you go. This will give you your stats as far as, you know, the more you play, you know, like I play a lot of Marines, so I've got a little more Marines than anything else. I did some air cav, and then I've got some airborne, little bit of airborne experience. So this is your experience in each one. As you can see, my Marines have the most with 1,000 out of 20,000 before that goes to level 2. But there again, I'm only level 2 myself. Do who get better? Are you talking about the AI? Because the AI, no, it stays the same. There's, when you look at, when you create, let me go back. No. This right here for leveling just kind of tells you, right, okay. So what this does is this is just a representation on how much you play. So when you look at the leaderboard, you can look at General Zhukov, the Soviet hero. He's level 27. This fucker's been playing a long time. Yeah. So you can tell this is a very seasoned, well-played player, and you can see his stats. He's played for 2 days, 15 hours, and 42 minutes. He's played 132 matches. He's got an 89% win rate. This is the number one guy right now. And he's got a kill ratio of 1 to 1.27. So his kill to death ratio, okay, is 1.27. So 1 would be 1 to 1 would be 50-50, right? So he's a little bit better on his kills than he is on his deaths. And he hasn't dropped at all. So he has 0 drop rate, which is where you can see the players that get pissy and quit. Okay. So let's go down and let's look at like the worst guy. I don't know how low it goes to 1,000. So the 1,000th most person, level 23. So he's still been playing for a while. 1 day, 18 hours, 72 matches, 82% win rate, 1.76 kill to death ratio, and he's dropped 3%. So not saying that he's dropped a lot, but you know, there you go. You can see those. And then these are medals that are earned like when you're doing stuff like this one is finished a standard or custom multiplayer match with the highest kill to death ratio of your team, and you'll get supplied that medal. And he's gotten 25 of those medals. This one, finished a standard or custom multiplayer match with the highest capture score of your team. Now let's see, what's the most he's got? Looks like this next one, 40. Destruction, finished a standard or custom multiplayer match with the highest destruction score of your team. So he's gotten 40 of those medals. And of course, the tank one, he's got 5 of these. Achieved more than 50% of your total kills with tanks in a standard match. He's done that 5 times. Oh, what's this one? 6. Higher than average, let's see. Win a multiplayer match against an enemy team with higher average rating than you. So that's pretty cool. And that's the lowest guy on the totem pole. Okay? That's 100. Let's look at number 1. Yeah, look at these. 38 on this one, which is the finish the match with the lowest losses. 37, 10, 14. Meat grinder. Achieve more than 50% of your total kills with infantry. He's gotten that 14 times. So this just tells you the kind of player he is. Okay? How experienced they are. So that's all this does for you. Is say, okay, I'm not very good. I just started off. I just made level 2. I don't have any medal achievements at all. And there's a lot of them. I haven't played any multiplayer matches. That's why I've got 0 playtime. Okay? But for skirmishes, I've got 2 hours and 19 minutes. I've got a win rate of 25%, a kill to death ratio of 1.4. And I played 4 matches. A lot of the skirmishes, though, I start, I get into it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I got to tweak my thing, and I come back out. I leave and come back out. But yeah, so that's all that does is just show you, and that's the skirmishes. That's actually setting it up here on a server. And that was probably with Shoop. I think I did 1 by myself, and then Shoop and I did 3 yesterday. That's how I got 4. That's how I got 4 skirmish matches, because I played 4 matches. And we won 2 of them and lost 1. And we got our ass kicked on 1. But anyway, yeah. So guys, that's pretty much the game, and that's all I wanted to show you today. If there's anything specific you want to see, I'll stick around for a little bit, and I'll answer any questions you have and show you in the game how stuff is done. I mean, that was the whole point of today. I didn't really want to play per se, but now I could go in and I could show you my testing units and show you how. Here, let's just do this. Let's just play this scenario out. So you'll get a kick out of this one. Okay, first thing, in these games, in these editors, you can pause it. So there's the pause play button up here, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my aircraft, and I'm going to bring in my Lancer. I'm going to put him right there. Okay. So we're going to come in here, and we got all these tanks sitting on this runway and all these planes. I could put all sorts of stuff on here. We're going to unpause the game. As soon as I see my Lancer come in, I pause it again. Here's my Lancer. I'm going to take this and I'm going to make a bombing run right here. Let's just make a bombing run right there.
Attack vector confirmed. Ready
There
to
we
pick.
go. So we're going to set that B-1 Lancer up to drop bomb right there. And then we're just going to wait. Here he comes. We can even do
B1,
this.
Mission ready.
We can actually even follow him. So this is how you get some great screenshots, some great videos, if you wanted to create them.
Attack run complete.
Oh man, I missed a plane. I missed a plane. Yeah, that's a big bomb. All right, I missed a plane. What do I got? We got to come down. We got to come and take out that plane. So what should we do? What should we do? Let's see. Should we bring in this F-16 and machine gun it? Or should we bring in a helicopter? We can bring in a longbow, an Apache. I got to get more points. I mean, I'm gaining points left and right. Bring in my Kiowa and take it out. Could bring in this Striker. What do I got? An M1. I got an M8. Air-to-ground missile. Or anti-tank guided missile. Let's bring in the ATGM. And let's bring it in the Globemaster. Oh, I don't have enough points. Go to Air Globemaster. Striker. Is that the one we wanted? Or we could take it out with this one. So this is how you practice. Okay. So we're going to bring in this Globemaster.
Globemaster standing
Now,
by for instructions.
where you bring it in, where you tell it to come in, is where it's going to drop all your units. So you got to be really careful about that. So I don't want it to drop there. I paused the game. I want it to drop back here, let's say. Okay, and I'm going to set up this run.
Airdrop confirmed.
Well, because there's only
Arriving on
one
target.
vehicle. There's only one vehicle. It's only going to do that. So let's do this. Let's bring in, let's do this here. Let's bring it here.
DZ confirmed. Ready to drop.
And then
Approaching
once it
DZ.
drops,
Prepare to drop the stick.
so this is your line of sight. As I move my mouse, you can start to see the line of sight. So I'm sneaking up on this. I could go through the trees, so I can kind of see which direction I want to go till I sneak up on it until I come out right at that group line where I can see that and take it out. All right, so let's do that. So now the C-130.
Globemaster ready. The Moose is mission ready.
He's going to get lined up on the direction that you told it to go. So he's coming off to the left over here. Then he's going to make a turn. But see, now he's got a turn radius that he has to abide by. So he's got to make sure that he can make that turn. There we go. There's our tank.
ATGM carrier ready.
There's our Striker. Now our Striker's on the ground. Now we're going to send this guy back home.
Plane standing by for
And we're going to send our other guy back home. That'll give us some more points. So he's heading back off.
C-17 copies.
He'll come back here to the aircraft spawn point, and then he will disappear, and I will get points back for returning him back to base. So, yeah, there we go. We got 200 and some points, right?
Striker here. Go ahead.
Thought I could double-click him.
Striker, ready for action.
Right-click shows me his stats. I guess I can't. Thought I could double-click him to move directly to him once I had him selected. All right. So let's grab him, and let's just head. I don't want him to shoot, so I'm not gonna shoot until I decide I want to shoot, and we're gonna move to right there, facing that direction.
Roger, we're Oscar Mike.
So now he will move, given the order I gave him. Even though he's probably in range, I could force him to fire. I could actually target him. So see, as I come up, you see, let's just pause that. As you can see, as he's approaching, okay, it'll tell you, okay, there's no line of sight. He's 2153 meters away, and the TOW 2A is still red, which means he's not in range yet. Where if you look at the line, the white line is his range. So as he's moving forward, he's getting closer, he's getting closer, he's getting closer. And that's for the TOW. Okay? Then if I pause this and I go back here, you'll see the TOW is clear up there, but the M240 machine gun is right here, right in the middle of the screen. So that's where the range of the M240 is at. So if I wanted to take out this plane with the machine gun, I got to get to at least there. So right now, almost. And the TOW is now in range, and it turned white. But the M240 is not in range yet, though it's still red there, at the top of the screen. So as you get closer and closer, the machine gun will come into view. But then we can stop him. Boom. Stop. All right, so he stopped moving. All right, so he's still short on his machine gun. Let's move him forward a little more.
Moving there now.
See if that's close enough for the machine gun. Nope, a little closer.
Roger. Moving the next waypoint.
Still not close enough.
Copy. Relocating.
This should do it. Oh, just short.
Roger. We're on the move. Moving out.
There we go. Now everything's within range. So I can uncheck this.
Weapons free.
And there goes the machine gun. And there goes a TOW. So once both the weapons were in range, they both started firing. The machine gun was actually faster because it takes a little bit of time for the TOW to cycle up to shoot. And that's with those stats, like I said. So when you're looking at this, it has a 1 to 2 second aim time for the TOW. So that's what the delay was. And then it's going to take 8 to 12 seconds to reload it. It has 2 in the magazine, so it still should have 1 more ATGM. But this guy, aim time 1 to 2 seconds. And he started firing right off the bat. Right off the bat.
Pedal to the middle.
That's not what I wanted to do.
Roger. Moving out. Anti-tank, here.
So now the radiation's gone. So now I could come out where everything was at, and I won't get killed. So if the radiation was still there, left over from the nuke, and you went in that area, you'd start taking damage. But anyway, this is a way you just grab a map, and and you start testing your units. You know, you could bring in, I mean, you could bring in anything. You know, from your battle group that you had set up to play this particular thing. Okay. I don't have any more enemy soldiers, so. But I think what we should do is bring in another Globe Master, and we're just going to bring in. Let's see what we can load on this. 4 tanks. I could bring in 4 tanks. 2 tanks, 2 strikers. 1 tank, 1 striker, 1 ATGM. 8 airborne, and then 13 tons of materials. That's the most I can bring in. Let's go ahead and set that up for drop right there. And there it goes. That's going to be the drop point. Well, I wanted a little more...
Globe Master here.
I wanted a little more centered. So I'm going to redo this.
Aligning with drop zone.
There we
Prepare
go.
to drop.
No, everybody's going to drop right on the runway there.
C-17 standing by for instructions.
Pickle! I mean, that's just cool as shit. There it goes.
Fighting vehicle is combat ready, sir.
And of course... Oh, I gotta send the plane back.
The moose is in the air.
The moose is in the air.
Solid copy.
Returning to base.
Egress route set. Mission's over. RTB.
So, always the last... I'm not sure if it goes in the order you pick it. Let's test that out. Let's test that out. Because I don't know if that is that way. So, let's do another airdrop. Let's bring in supplies first. And then another tank. Oh, I got to get rid of some supplies. So because I did supplies last, and then I did, we're going to bring in troopers. Bring in 6 troopers. No, we'll bring in 3 troopers. Oh, wait a sec. Okay, I can't. Those troopers are not... These troopers are not airborne. They are airborne. No, they're not. Those are air cav. So I don't have any more troopers to send. But that's all right. Let's just do this again. Let's send in 8. Then we're going to send in 2 tanks and a striker, and then a striker. No. Okay, 2 tanks and a striker. So if it goes in the order I put it in, it should drop the striker last. It should drop. Let's see, how does that work? If it goes in the order I picked it, the first thing to be dropped on the other end is going to be the supplies. Because I picked the supplies first. Then, so the last thing should be the striker. And then the 2 tanks are in the middle between the supplies and the striker. So let's see if that's the way it did it. And that's fine right there. So it should go Striker was the last. Or, yeah. Supplies should be at this end. Strikers should be at this end. And the 2 tanks or whatever, 2 strikers should be in the middle.
Cargo plane ready.
Because that was something I've always wondered. Nope. It did not do it that way. So the supplies are always the last at the very back. Now I did put the tank in the middle of the 2 strikers. So it groups them up. So, and that's the same layout that one did too. It did the striker up front, the 2 strikers. There was 1 ATGM striker and that's MGS. 2 strikers, then all the airborne, and then the tank, then the supplies. So there is a specific pattern to it. Yes. So when you're playing the game, up here in the upper left-hand corner, you see 2 numbers there. Okay, you see the gold number 2829. That's the current money I have available to buy my units. Okay, and then of course, like the troopers here, if I do a trooper in a truck, it's going to cost me 90 and 80. And then, correct. And then plus 220 is how much you get every, I think it's every 30 seconds. Unless you destroy something. If you destroy something, if you shoot an enemy, you get part of their cost value of that unit you destroyed put into your bank account. And then as far as your actual layout of all your units, your battle group, you have 10,000 points in your battle group to so everybody can have a 10,000 point battle group deck. Okay? But depending on how your deck's set up is how much you can spend in that particular category. No, because you keep earning money over time. But yes, if you were somehow to get everything, all 10,000 of your points, say you had a deck that was 10,000. This Marine deck is 9,995 out of 10,000. I'm 5 short of 10,000. No big deal. But if I were to get all these units out on the field, you don't start with enough money to put them all out there. You start with a set amount of money. Each side does. But as you go on, if you had 10,000 points built up, or 9,995, I could bring out every single piece of equipment all at once. You follow me? But because it's limited as far as what you can bring, because of the total number of points that you have at that particular moment, you only have that amount of money to work with. So you're not only trying to gain more points by waiting longer or by destroying stuff, you get more points. And then of course, when you lose a unit, you lose those points. So the longer you can keep your units in play, which is why supplies are so important, because you can run back to a supply. Like I just airdropped 2 supplies. You can run back to that with a damaged unit and repair that unit and rearm it. That'll cost supplies. Say you dropped 6 tons of material, 6,000 material. It's material which is repair parts and ammo. So you can repair your units and you can rearm them. It goes for everything except airplanes. Airplanes you have to return to base in order on drones, airplanes and drones. You have to return to base in order to fix them. Helicopters, you can land at a supply depot, a ground supply depot, and it'll fix it. Now, when you go to make a new battle group, you have to choose 2 factions, whether it be Marines, Armored, Air, Striker, or Special Forces. And these have a limit to them. So Special Forces, you're limited to 1,250 recon, 1,250 infantry. You get no vehicles, no support points at all. You get 1,250 in helicopters, and you get 1,250 in aircraft. So this particular one right now, this battle group's not, you can't create it because you've only chosen one. You have to choose 2 specializations. You cannot have any vehicles or any support. Okay? So what you don't want to do is choose like the Striker and the SOGs. Oh, I guess it does give you. Oh, it's going to be nice. All right, Judge. No, that was not what I... Oh, helicopters and armored. If you did Striker and Armored, you get no helicopter support whatsoever. That's what I was looking for. So, if you don't care about helicopters, great. Then pick those 2. But pretty much everything else, I don't think there's an anti-aircraft. That's support and vehicles. And then everything else has vehicles. I mean, you only got 500 vehicles if you choose Special Forces Airborne. You only have 500 points in vehicles. That's not much. That's not much at all. So like this one, I did... this one's Air Special Forces. So I have 500 in vehicles, 750 in support. All the rest of it is aircraft, helicopters, infantry, and recon. So this one's going to be a difficult deck. I just did this one as an example today of how to do this. And then once you do, you just go into it, you edit it, and then you can pick out your units. But see, this one's got stealth helicopters because it's Special Forces. Special Forces, Green Beret, the pararescues, the Rangers, RRCs, the snipers, they can all use the stealth helicopters. Cost more. But then they also have, I don't know if that's stealth. Yeah, it is. 1.75, so that's pretty stealthy. But the airplanes, you've got the Nighthawks, and you've got the B-2 stealth bombers, which is the stealth bombers that just went in and hit Iran. Or Iraq? Iran. Whatever it was. I don't know. I saw the bombing on TV and I was like, oh, good. Yeah, here we go. Spirit of America. America. But so, yeah, you could make a total stealthy 1.75 stealth. These are going to get past your missile batteries a little easier. I think one of the things I really like is... This doesn't have... Yeah, it does. There it is. The Ghost Rider. The AC-130 gunship by the U.S. Air Force. So you can do Spooky, where it's got the... what is that? 6 or 8-barreled GAU-12, 25 millimeter, 3,000 rounds a minute. Ghost Rider goes back to the 30 millimeter shells. On the side, you can put some Hellfires. The other side, you can put some Hellfires. Rear weapon, you can do some missiles. Where's my Hellfires at? Port and starboard pylons? Where are the pylons at? Oh, right there. No? It looks like a big-ass bomb. Oh, there they are. Right on the end of the wings there. So there's the Hellfires right there. So this is devastation from above. I mean, that's pretty cool right there. That'll take out helicopters, vehicles, and infantry. This will take out vehicles. So I think I'm going to go with spooky. This will take out your no, that's the one I wanted. Okay, spooky. These guys, the Hellfires, take out. Where's Hellfires? 40 millimeter, 105 Hellfires right there. These will take out tanks, everything else. You still have, in basic, you still have the 105, and you still have the 40 millimeter Bofors. Those come standard. That's just what makes it a gunship. But then you can add the Equalizer, you can add the Hellfires, and the Griffins. The Griffins are air-to-ground missiles. So that'll take out infantry. Hellfires will take out infantry, vehicles, and tanks. 105, the Bofors. Yeah. So you could add that to your arsenal. That's devastation right there. That is devastation right there. You want to see how that works? Let's do that. Let's save this. And let's go to my editor. Let's do my testing the units. I want to throw in some infantry units just so we have some infantry to shoot at. Got to have some infantry to shoot at. Let's add some infantry to our spoils of war because we've got a whole bunch of T-90s down there. We don't have any infantry. So let's just go to our editor. Let's add some infantry. Let's say they're doing a parade of infantry right here. Add unit. And we want infantry only. And we want it to be Russian infantry. I have no idea what kind. Just want some standard looking infantry. 7 guys in that one. 7, 4, okay. What, are they all just 7-man squads? There's an 8-man squad. Huh. See, I don't look at the Russians that much. So it looks like 8-man squads is the best they can do. Let's just put out a bunch of these guys. There we go. I want to change all those to red. And I want to change them all to hold fire. There we go. All right, let's bring in Spooky. Let's save this. And quit. Go to the editor. Go to my test unit. Let's bring in my SOG air group and play. Now, the only thing I have in this SOG air group is the C-130 gunship. So we'll see how much devastation one gunship can do. Because these are badass planes. They really are. Let's just see what it can do. All right, let's get up here. I'm going to bring in one gunship, and we are going to bring it in to right there.
Changing course. Recalibrate azimuth sweep angle. Adjust elevation scan. Gunship ready.
Okay, it's set priority to the tanks. There it goes, taking out some infantry now. And you can see across the bottom, the 40 millimeter Bofors and the Equalizer are both shooting. All the Griffins are gone. All the Hellfires are gone. It's just cleaning house.
The Angel of Death is in the air.
I don't know what the hell it keeps blowing up over there. Had to do a reload there. Got one guy, or maybe two. Maybe he's laying down. That guy's gone. Yeah, there's one guy laying down. There he goes. He's done. So yeah, very devastating.
Solid copy. RTB.
And there we go. Just like that. And he used half his fuel. Or maybe that's half his ammo. I think this upper number is his fuel. That's his health. So he used half his fuel. Yeah, half his fuel. And there we go. He's back. Now there's a countdown timer that begins before I can bring him back out again. Because I only had one of them. So as you can see, this tiny little dot is starting to appear right by the, where it says, right above the, what is that, the U in insufficient. There's that little sliver. It's going to go around in a dial. And I think it's probably 2 or 3 minutes before you can bring it back in again. The spooky 2. Before you could use it. So, once you send something back or it gets destroyed, I think if it gets destroyed, there's a longer timer for it to be able to come back into the field. But that was, 270 points. That's not bad. It's a lot of death and destruction, but you got to have air superiority on the field because this isn't going to take a lot of damage. It's only got 30 health. So, 2 Stinger missiles and it's down. It's going down. So, anyway, yeah. So, a lot of fun. Striker, when you, Wicked, when you get ready and you want to play, or if you just want to sit down and talk tactics or whatever, just hit me up. I can jump in Discord anytime. You got our Discord, so you know what it is. But guys, yeah, I really appreciate everybody showing up today, and hanging out with me while I go over one of my favorite games. I love this game. So we're gonna go to a nice picture here. Let's go to a picture of a. Let's go to a picture of a stealth plane. Should we do the... Where the hell is a B-1? Let's go airplanes. There's a B... No, that's the Sentinel. There's the Spirit. It's inside a hangar. Most of them are. Yeah, most of them are inside a hangar. Oh, the B-52. Flying Fortress. Oh, there's another one. There's another one, guys. Holy shit. Now, that's in Striker. You could put 8 God damn it, what are these called? Cruise missiles. And do another 12? So that's 20 cruise missiles. I wouldn't put a designation pod on it. 20 cruise missiles on a platform. Holy shit. Now, the Arleigh Burke has, I think, 36 cruise missiles. But you put this in the background, the back of your, back behind your troops. These cruise missiles shoot at 10,000 meters effective range. And they hit with 80 damage. 110 meter blast radius. You can pretty much destroy anything from buildings to, and it does 275 millimeter explosive damage. So, not a lot of armor penetration. And it can be intercepted. But they're 900, I'm sure it's meters, kilometers per second, 900 kilometers per second speed. But it's got a really, really slow turn. I mean, this is worse. Let's see, that's 1655. And the Ghost Rider is what? 1180, so it can't turn as tight as the Ghost Rider. So yeah, and that's a flying boat in itself, you know, compared to some of these other planes that have really tight turn radiuses. That one's got a 520 meter, 520. See which is the tightest turn radius. $850, 9. Global Hawk's 1180, 710. So it looks like the Reaper. No, that's 920, 945. What the hell did I see? That was a tighter turn radius. Oh, is that this one? Yeah, the Predator. The Predator and the Shadow. 520 turn radius, but they're only 200 speed, so they're really slow. Really slow for drones. But the Reaper is 360, so it's a little faster, but 945 turn radius. That's getting up there with, you know, some of these other planes. The Gray Eagle is 270 to 710 turn radius. 450 speed with an 1180. So, yeah. And of course, we haven't even looked at the... Where is the... yeah, this is it. The AV. So this turns at 820, but only goes 540. The Harriers are jump jets, so they can land like a helicopter. So this, you know, that's a good test. I wonder if a Harrier can reload on the ground. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to test that out. So, but I'm going to do that off camera. I'm done for right now. I got to go take my boot off and relax a little bit, watch a little TV before I have to start dinner. So it's 5 o'clock on the East Coast right now. But, you know, I really appreciate everybody coming out and spending time with me today. And I got a couple of subs today. That was great. Appreciate you guys for subbing me. Don't forget to stick around and see your credits at the end. Let's see. Who was it that subscribed to me? Wicked subscribed to me, and Shoopaloop. I appreciate both of you guys. You guys were just awesome for doing the subscription for me. Like I said, it does help out the channel. In the long run, you know, I mean, it allows me to keep doing what I'm doing, making a little bit of money. Not there yet, you know. I would love to do like some of these other influencers do, but I don't think I'm going to do that, being a gamer. And I really don't want to do politics and all that bullshit. I just don't think... It's not my billywick. I could really care less. And I'm not into drama, any of that stuff. So I don't think I'll ever be one of those streamers. I don't do makeup. I wear cool hats though. So there is that. So we'll leave with the picture of a jump jet. And I'm going to go see if I can rearm with a jump jet. That would be cool if I could. I might bring more Harriers in. If that's the case, if I can rearm them, I bet you can't. I don't recall hearing anybody else doing it. That doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means I haven't heard of anybody doing it. So, anyway, guys, I appreciate all of you. Don't forget, hit that follow button for me. It looks just like that. And then I upload all of my streams to YouTube to act as a video on demand, because Twitch changed how much they can store on their computer, on their servers now. So it's all going to YouTube. So if you missed anything or you want to go over anything, please go to my YouTube channel. The link is down in the description. Don't forget, hit subscribe for me over there. We are on our way to achieving our goals, but we got time. You know, I got a bit goal of 1,000, which is what, $10. So that's not that bad. And then subscriptions, always appreciated. We got 2 more subscriptions today. That was fantastic. And then, of course, our follower goals. So I'm sure all you guys that are watching me right now are following me. And I really love the fact that you guys enjoy my content and enjoy hanging out with me on a daily basis. Because I certainly enjoy it. So from me to you guys, I'm Captain Adonis. I'm out.
Airstrike complete. Egress route set.